Okay, so welcome to session number 97, or season 1, episode 3 of phase 3. Because, hey, these things do happen. Okay, tonight online we have Jeremy.
Good evening all, yes. I'm
Hello.
playing Dracnima, the Atruaghin tribesman who started as a humble watchman of the Gear tribe from the Elk clan, however has since become favoured in the eyes of Atruaghin himself and has taken on the mantle of shaman of the tribes, well, working towards shaman of the tribes, having been now also proclaimed Chief of Chiefs after becoming the chief of what was originally the Dragon tribe, is now recognised as the Dragon clan.
Nice.
And yes, he's still trying to work out the best things he can do to protect Atruaghin from this potentially global war.
Yes.
Then we have Ariadne.
Not borrow your camera.
You can borrow my
First
camera.
things first. Can people see that?
Yes.
Bad GM. Bad.
Put the dragon
Put
in
my
the
dragon
jail.
in the dice jail.
Well, at least you know where they are.
That's not reassuring.
No, he does that all the time. I'm
Of
not
course.
worried. I'm not worried by that. So I play Calcrix, the white dragon with the jazz wings. I don't know if any of the cameras can see
Can
that.
see
up
you
there.
over here.
Yep.
With her loyal cohort, Grindelwaffle Brewmaster, the Coffee Gnome, and also currently the supplies expert helping in the war effort off the actual battlefield, because Calcrix would not have her friend caught up with that, and her other friend Eep, who is plant-like looking but mysterious in actual type of creature, and she lives curled up on Calcrix's horn. And our white dragon has more than her fair share of black scales. Did you say she's got a couple of platinum now?
She's got some blue as well.
A couple of blue scales now. She doesn't know why they're there, just that she now has got colours.
This stuff can be found out, but you can ask your boss.
Yeah.
You've got
I'm
you've got a
sure
better-
that it'll come throughout.
Yeah.
In our upcoming adventure tonight.
May have
or-
caught blue off Dressel.
Yes. May have caught
That's
blue off
an
Dressel.
interesting. Actually, it's entirely valid.
It's just we've got a couple of pictures hanging around with paintbrush.
Oh, come on.
I like that
Okay.
version.
Here's the thing to think about. Drazzle's close to being powerful enough to be taken as a warlock patron, which is an interesting thought in itself.
Absolutely.
Though, if you were to call on him, he may just show up instead of help you.
I know that's
And just write down and watch what you're doing.
So the blue scales aren't just because of
that's one of the reasons to take
Blue
the power
dice.
directly.
Well, he
blue
he
dice.
might help you by giving you a hug.
Good luck.
Well, yeah, no, that's fine. But the thing is, the actual power you're using is going to be, indirectly from you.
Use for that?
Yeah, I can make
now
uses
that
of
it's
that.
in my
Mhm.
dice
Yes.
bag.
Okay, so next up we have is Kesley.
Alrighty. Aloha, Talofa, all those fun greetings. I am playing Kupo Lani Apai, goes by Lonnie. Human Makai, weapons master. Pretty much the best. Just saying.
Calcrix agrees.
Holder of many titles. Yeah, all that fun jazz. I could go through them, but we'll be here for a while. Which is exactly how I want it.
And by the end of the story, you'll have a book of titles.
Yes. And I would say there are many other secret names that you may or may not know of. So we'll go along with that. Just adding to the legend of Lonnie.
I was going to say, adding to the diversity and
Yes.
awesomeness.
Absolutely. So, yeah, she is here now that she is boasted for long enough. She has to prove it now by keeping everybody else safe and fighting for everybody else's life and yeah, just doing her best.
Okay, next up we have is Paul.
Who is Clawl, head of Clan Clawl, head of new, owner and head of a new settlement in Alfheim, which is available for everyone to visit, and of course you guys all have positions in the clan as well. Whether you're going to observe that or not is up to you. Warlock, healer, diplomat, pretty boy, nice person.
That's what I was looking
I see you have a scroll of titles as well. Just
No, just descriptors.
Yeah.
Actual titles, yes. I've got a small list of like,
Adjectives?
including like 3 that I can't use, like Prince of the Shadow Elves,
can't or shouldn't.
Bane of Alfheim.
I think
Night-
shouldn't.
Shouldn't.
Might be the word
Nightmare of the
shouldn't.
elven children's dreams.
Nightmare of the Elven Civilization. Thief of
Like any
Heroes.
collection of titles,
Yeah.
you're selective
Oh,
in
yeah.
which ones you use in certain audiences.
Exactly.
Yes, except Lani, who's going to use all of them all the time.
Well, that's because she's
I just
funny.
need to know. I need you to know that I respect you and the titles that you hold.
Yes. By
Whether
throwing
or
out
not
all
other
of
people
yours.
respect those
Yes.
titles is a different thing.
Can you do me episode
Yes.
and everything when we start up again? Because I didn't have
That's
hands.
okay.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
the
say-
episode is
90%.
season 1, episode 3 of phase 3.
Yes.
AKA
And-
session 97.
And
Thanks.
wielder and carrier of enough intelligent items that I've got to talk to them on a regular basis.
Do you say season 1?
Maybe sounding just a
Season
little
1 of
crazy.
episode 3 of phase 3.
He
That's when my
sort of
brain
comes
got all
across a
the
bit like a
numbers
shaman.
mixed up. It's like 3,
Yeah.
1, which... Yeah, okay. Season 1,
when
episode
you see
3,
Of
phase
phase
3.
3.
And it does
97.
look crazy because he sits down off on his own with a book and has a bit of a chat to a bag, a sword.
And a recap of what's happened. So, you have had 2 months of fighting against the Master's forces, which has been quite a strain for you guys, as you'll finally manage to make it back to Darrakan City and rest for a few days and recuperate after all the excesses that have been gone through. And you find out that not only were you hammered, so were the forces on the lake and those to the north of the lake itself. So the forces to the north of the lake were mostly desert warriors from Sind, with the dead of the people they defeated being raised to fight, continue fighting.
Right.
Just like were mostly undead came your way.
Can I add a little bit?
Yeah.
Because the information we gathered at our battle were integral to helping the Friday group overcome their challenges.
Awesome.
Cool.
So thanks
we deserve
to-
kudos.
Thanks to the heroicness of Calcrix and what she was able to do, she was able to pass on
All
the
of us,
information.
Heroicness or heroicity?
Well, the information Lucius got for us about the crystals
Yes.
and you translating it, so we all kind of
Contributed.
contributed.
That's awesome.
But Calcrix appreciates the acknowledgement as well. She's going to eventually start up a title scroll of her own.
Yeah.
She fears
I
though
think-
Eep hasn't learnt how to write yet.
I don't know.
It
if-
probably just looks like that,
Yeah.
and that is how you write it.
Yeah.
That's just
I-
how it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys have for followers, but one of mine is a minstrel. and will quite happily handle.
I have one of those too.
All of
Yeah.
that.
So they'll do the announcement.
But I did interrupt
Yes.
Martin in finishing the last bit of his thing. I wanted to pass
Do your
that
thing.
little bit on.
That's okay. I can't remember where I got up to.
So you finished with the Sind and the Desert Warriors helping on that side, and you were going to move over, I think, to
we were back in
Back in Derek.
where the Friday group were.
discussing the results for the others as well.
You actually made it back to Darragon City.
Okay.
It
So
was back in Derek, sorry.
back in Darragon City. So on the lake, you found that the halflings had been dealing with most of the Master's forces on the lake,
Yeah.
and that the Master's forces were unable to cross past the island in the center.
Yeah.
No matter how fast their boats were going, they just came to a stop. Sometimes explosively.
So want to have seen that.
And
Can any of actually?
No, you didn't.
No, gnomes and halflings and things are sometimes good at things like illusions and so on. Can you sort of project a memory of seeing that happen? That would be
someone
brilliant.
will be able to do that. And
Cool.
then sometime during their battles on the lake, the central island started to move. And then crawl out of the lake and start attacking
Is that
the
the
city
Paris?
of Akasoli.
Is because you said someone one punch.
Yeah.
Oh, what's
The,
that before?
Well, I
John?
was trying to actually
Oh,
tell
sorry, that
the
was before.
thing instead of jumping around.
Sorry.
So staying in order will help.
Mm.
That's all good.
Right.
Because, saying the solution to the final thing doesn't help.
I see a
So-
psychiatrist soon. I'll get that medication and I'll stop me talking all the time.
Okay, so yes,
What
as it
exists?
climbed out of the water, they
Titan?
realized it was a Tarask, which is a Titan. And there's only one in the world. And the last time it was seen, it had been thrown to the ground by a hero of Blackmore
That's a long time ago.
and hadn't surfaced since then. And they realized that the island in the lake had formed over the Tarask, and the lake was where the Tarask fell.
So 4,500 years it's been in that lake.
You don't still have a marked page of a picture of it because I remember you showing me once, but I can't remember.
I do, but I don't want to dig that out right now.
No,
I'm
that's
trying
fine.
to
That's
tell
why I
them.
was asking if you had one handy.
Yeah.
If the answer is no,
Yes.
And because I'm using the level up version of the Tarask, it actually has Godzilla breath.
Oh, nice.
He's actually part of the stat block. So it attacked the Master's wall
rude.
of death and actually repelled it.
Nice.
In the middle
Wow.
of that combat, someone sacrificed a staff of Redrian to split the world tree.
Okay.
And out
not
of
your
the
stuff.
split of the world
Hey,
tree,
stuff of
a dragon of immense size appeared as a phantasm and punched the Tarask back into the lake.
So do we assume that's the Master forming up as a dragon?
That was the assumption, yes. I was still trying to finish, but okay.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Crazy.
Yes.
So they managed to split the world tree that was controlled by the Master.
And then they sent along the ley lines of the Master radiant fire along his lines.
Nice.
And that's when the Master pretty much stopped advancing.
Wow.
So when you manage to see the wall stop and the undead come out of it, that was the reason.
Wow.
Because his power got set
Wrapped around
back,
a bit. Yes.
and he had to withdraw a bunch of his power to deal with the creature.
Wow. That's crazy.
And now he'll probably need to recover for a while before he can actually act again.
Yes.
And at the end of last session, you said because summer's coming on, it's likely to be a low period because he's not as strong.
Yes, he's reputed to be weaker in summer,
Cool.
which
So-
means he's probably more water aspected than fire.
Mm.
Because
That's
some-
something to take a note that he's probably water aspected because that'll be important
That's
Yes.
a huge one.
if we face him later.
Which makes you wonder why he
person
wasn't
writing
able
it
to deal with the lake. But they also had
Because it's got its own thing.
figure out that the structure on the island in the lake is where a demon's trying to bury into the heart of the Tarask.
Right.
Why
And
would he do that?
to control
We
it,
found out why it was bad to feed dead things into the lake.
because it woke up the Tarask.
Right.
And the Tarask is a aspect of probably the best way to say it is the heart of the world. It is the matter manifested.
Right.
Okay,
Because
okay.
it's a Titan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes the most
Kind
sense.
of
And-
like Gaia.
Yeah.
A bit, yeah.
That
It's very
sense.
much like Gaia,
Yeah.
and that its blood has huge regenerative properties.
Yeah.
So when it
Yeah.
crashed back into the lake, it caused a tidal wave, and everywhere where that water went, growth that hadn't been seen for centuries, probably millennia, grew up.
And that's
Wow.
possibly what weakened the master, because
Because the
More
new life,
growth
Yeah.
including
takes
on
away his
his
power.
land.
the opposite of entropy is life.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
The opposite of entropy is each of the other elements.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and he
that brings up-
did water
Oh.
and earth
And
air
fire.
in direct sunlight.
Yeah.
Mm.
And because of
Yeah.
because of radiant breath, that is fire manifested.
Good point. Yes.
So the Terrestrial manifests at least 3 of the 4 other elements,
Yeah.
with potentially thought being it chose to attack him directly, and none of the master's servants were able to harm it.
So the world is very lucky to have had it.
No, depending upon who's telling the story, you would have explained that Dimitri was the one that was
Let's do a little bit left.
Right. A bit.
So yes, that was what happened on that side. Then on the northern side of the lake, there was a majority of the elven forces had gone that way because they're the most agile of the forces currently defending Darrakan.
Yep.
They don't need roads to move fast.
Mm.
And the humans had gone to the south. So you had humans helping you get through the various issues that the people fighting you.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'll open it when I finish fully.
Sorry, I was trying to save your hands because you
Yes.
weren't wearing your gloves.
Okay, so sorry, just trying to get back on track.
Yep.
So you had mainly humans helping you, which is
one of
one.
the elves and
Yeah, while none of the humans while none of the elves had gone south, it was to open a battle for them to safely navigate.
Yep.
They can quickly disappear into the mountains away from any encroaching army.
Yep.
Very few people can keep up with elves in difficult terrain.
Mm.
Makes sense.
On the lake, the halflings are almost unmatched. Very few people actually want to go up against halflings because they tend to sink anyone who attacks them
Mm-hmm.
and leave no prisoners. That's their reputation on the water.
Mm-hmm.
So in the equivalent of pirates, most pirates raise the black flag,
Yeah.
but anyone who attacks the halfling, they raise the red flag in comparison, saying no quarter will be taken.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they have such a horrible reputation, because they can't take people onto their ships.
Mm.
So they just tell people up front, you attack us, we raise the red flag, and down you go.
Mm-hmm.
Besides all that, everyone took 2 whole months to get through those battles. They managed to keep the southern keep free and stop them from reaching the river.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
On the northern side, the keep was on the side of the river with the master, and they managed to keep the master from the keep. So they managed to do that as well. And on the lake, they pushed the forces all the way back to the master's island, which, when the Terresk came out, none of the master's vessels could pass it on the lake,
Mm.
no matter how far away, many miles away they were from it. They were unable to go around it.
Mm.
It was part of the lake. It pretty much sank the master's fleet.
Mm. Very nice.
This is good news.
And so they don't expect there to be any ocean things coming, and he also destroyed the docks that the master was using for his ships. So he's most likely going to have to transport new ships from wherever he comes from
A
to
lot of
the
resources, a lot of
lake
time.
to do so. And the likelihood of him successfully doing that would be considered pretty low, and you've managed to keep his ley lines on fire for
Okay.
at least 24 hours.
Hmm.
Which is pretty good.
which holy fire going through his ley lines was probably not what he wanted.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's very much a
And
high
we also
road.
took out some of the siege engines.
You did.
Mm.
So you took out a bunch of the siege engines around Akasoli. You took out some of them near each of the forts and managed to hold him at bay for spring.
This is good.
If he had have reached the farmlands during summer, he would have decimated Darrakan.
Yes.
Because,
He would just kill.
well, that's when most of the food is harvested.
Yeah.
So-
So he would just ruin the crop.
If he ruins the crops, he kills the nation.
So everybody's dead.
And if he kills the nation, Darrakan feeds a majority of the gnome world.
Mm.
Oh, that's true, because Darrakan is the
Bread
equivalent here
basket.
for the bread basket.
Mm.
So
So that's one of the reasons why you've been told that if Darrakan falls, the rest of the
Rest of the
region
world
falls. And if that region falls, then there's a good chance the rest of the world will fall.
Yeah.
Because it's the only things keeping everyone else at bay is what's here.
Are
No
we
matter how-
talking about
yeah.
the U.S. economy? Just kidding. All right.
Your dice ran away.
Yeah, I was looking for specific dice so I don't have to search it during combat. And yeah, that one ran away.
Okay, so at the start of this session, it is the 15th day of the 5th month.
Mm-hmm.
It is the day of the full moon. This being the major moon of our final moon of life, the last green moon of the year. They have the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th month are all dedicated to Earth,
Okay.
which is another reason why the Jurassic was so powerful.
Hmm.
It's this. It's
It is
time
its
right
season.
now.
This
Yeah.
is the time. This is the place.
It's like
And
Sorry. Sabotage song too.
it's Gemini season.
Yes.
It was last green moon of the year.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
And each of you has been given a military campaign badge, a little green or jade disc to add to your awards for when you go into dress, to
Cool.
say that you were part of the campaign in year 1010
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
to protect Darrakan.
It'd be fair to just call it a military honour.
It is a military honour.
Yep.
But it's the sort of thing that goes with dress robes.
Does it have a title?
Campaign 1010.
Campaign 1010.
The
Why
year
does it sound
1010.
like a PAX convention?
Because most military campaigns are named after which campaign it is.
I'm not advertising PAX at all. You should go. So 10
I
slash
already
10
have my
or
3
10
tasks.
10.
The year 1010.
Yep. So 10 10.
Because it's all based on the Thiatan calendar, because they wrote the rules that all these guys are running by.
That's
Even
fine.
though half of them hate them with a passion.
I no longer work for the government. I could technically use that in my day to day.
Hmm.
Although I think I might confuse my doctors if I'm like, yes, I'll be there on Thursday, the 6th of the 2nd, 10:10.
Well, hey, you could even use the 13-month calendar because that is more accurate.
Yeah.
And at least then the day of the week is always the same.
Yep.
Hmm.
Which I thought was amazing when they did the numbers.
Because then you don't have to worry about
Hmm.
the leap years.
I don't know why they didn't do that. Anyway, we're all
Because 13 was a bad number for the people who made the calendar.
Yep.
That was the only reason.
People be
Past
crazy.
tradition.
So
If only they were the Japanese who hated 4, then 13 was perfectly fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, but we might end up with, things could be different. Look, they should just go for, I'm not advertising my own world here, but, Andarian calendar, which has 16 months and 32 days in each month, and
Hmm.
there's 32 hours in a day as well, so
Mhm.
I literally gave them more time to play with.
there you go.
Go, Jeremy.
Let's face it, if we had have worked with the basics numbering system, you could count to 35 on your fingers.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't do math
Because you've got
anymore.
5 fingers on each hand, so basic would
Yep.
be perfectly logical.
Yeah.
5 fingers on each hand.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's...
So
Including the
that
thumb.
can count as your
Yeah.
yeah. There's 5. There's 1. There's another 5. There's another
0
1.
to 5.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
why is our time system based around 60?
I feel like I don't
Exactly.
like math.
I don't
So-
like that either. Do I?
The Babylonians used 60 because it's so many things divide into it.
I'll be as quick as I can.
1,
Absolutely.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. Actually, 8 doesn't, sorry. But 10, 12,
12,
15, 20. All of them divide evenly into 60. That's why they use it. It's why a compass rose is 360 degrees.
Okay, so yes, so you all get a award with a bit of celebration added to your dress. Whenever you do any formal occasion, people will comment on campaigns you've done based on what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys, it's the first military awards you've received. Except for Jeremy's Wednesday character, who's actually received quite a few.
I was gonna say I did basic Arendi naval training. This is the first military action.
Feels entirely comfortable receiving an award because he probably has to give it to himself because he was give it to maybe general of the armies.
Well, you're actually being given to you.
Here we go.
It's actually been given to you by the merchant princes who ruled Darken, so they technically stand above you. And I can't remember what they call the chancellor is a person that they have at the top. So he's the head merchant prince. So it's like given to you by the president of the
I was
country.
gonna say, is it like the Medal of Freedom? Basically, like you have the dude that just puts a thing on you. And then
Well, it's more like pin something to you and try not to actually stick you with it.
I was gonna say, when my brother got pinned, the way they do it is they just take the pin, put it on you, slap it on, and then that's it. Like you just have to put on brave face and don't be mad when you get poked. So that was him, especially when he got top shot for when he passed basic and all that stuff. He ended up retiring, being sergeant and all that stuff. But yeah, so he passed on that tradition of whenever you pin somebody, slap it on.
Because, it's
That's
like,
what
yes,
we
you're a
do.
tough soldier. Thump, you've earned this one.
There you go. You earned it.
We're going to put this on with a nail.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Afterwards, you have a bit of a celebration with all the rest of the people who survived of rank.
Yep.
Yep.
Plus our followers.
Yep.
Or at least some of them anyway.
None of the followers ended up getting the award.
Which is fine, because they were at base
They've-
camp.
Yeah. They were backing us up. They weren't actually there.
Yeah.
But
And you find yourself back in the Knights River Inn the next morning. Some of you with potential hangovers.
yes. Well, we have an
Yes.
entourage, and that's an important thing. We're chunky enough to have an entourage now.
And yes, your entourage makes sure you get home safely.
That's just so useful. They're worth it just for that.
So no matter how much you drink or how much bad things you say, you still make it home in one piece.
I have a couple sailors with me.
Mm-hmm.
We know how it is.
Yeah.
Guarantee a couple of them ended up in cots next
So
to me.
a couple of Llewell's followers do have black eyes.
Yes.
And one of them seems to have a broken nose.
Yes. And I woke up in a tree.
And proud of it.
Yes. And I woke up in a tree because it was my aide carrying me home, and he's a tree.
Oh, I was gonna say, I have a stone guardian who's just stood in the corner, statue
Being
version, probably holding on to the crazy, probably with his arms like this, while there's a halfling and his arms sleeping. So, yeah.
cool. Who's the halfling?
Halfling is very quiet, rogue monkey. Her name is Trixie. Don't look down, look up to find her. She climbs everything.
Including my aide.
Yes. She thought it was a tree, and it was like, why is it moving?
Oh no,
No, it's moving. Woohoo! It's moving.
he is actually a tree.
Yeah.
He doesn't just look like one. He is a tree.
Yeah.
Actually, at the moment he's a tree. He didn't used to be.
Used to be he was shorter, but he grew up.
Used to be a seed.
No, no. He's in this form for punishment, but that'll come out later when it. If and
Was
when it
the
does.
punishment somebody told him to leave me alone?
That is probably one of the lines used. Yes.
Okay, so having a meal with Redrin.
Yep.
He does ask you how you think your campaign went.
It could have gone better.
It
Could have gone a hell of a lot
Overall,
worse.
you achieved the goal.
Yes, we achieved the goal. We had relatively minimal loss of life, considering what we were facing and what we were trying to do. Given what's going on, I think it actually went very well.
Yeah,
Lonnie talks about all the cool stuff that happened, including her and what's his name, Jeff's character, losing their souls at one point.
Yes, and
But then we got them back. That was a good time.
You hear Drowsel in the background going careless.
Drowsel, it was a good time. It worked out fine. We're okay. And then just kind of talking about the forces scene for Redrian's knowledge so that it could be added to a potential list of different types of forces that the master has with him. Including, what did I fight? Yeah, I fought Nightwalker.
something very
So I talk about a Nightwalker,
Really
and then
unpleasant.
Redrian's like, oh, the weak one. I'm just like, okay.
Well, he says you can get away from a Night Walker, just that they will constantly follow you.
Yeah.
That they're considered the most relentless of the undead you can ever face. Because no matter what you do to it, once it
Yeah.
targets you, it never stops. No matter what you do to it, even if you send it back
its
to
home.
hell, because it
Because
is
it
a
will come back out again.
demon. Yes, it will
Yeah.
find its way back out and continue to chase you.
It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be summoned, unlike some other demons, which means it's really rude.
It's an avatar of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's literally an avatar.
So it's automatically got a way of portaling back to the material plane.
And it is something that is summonable by clerics of death.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So when you summon an angel, they summon a Nightwalker.
Yeah. I'm going to send you a message.
The worst one is when they summon the Nightwing, because that's the fastest of them.
Yeah.
That's when they really want to make a point.
Well, that's basically when you've gotten the God's favour.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a
So,
point up to
yeah,
look that
basically just talking to Redrian about that. Like, to be honest, it, of course, could have gone better, but did go fairly well, all things considered. So,
Yes.
which is definitely to our benefit. And as we now know, like, this is going to be the Master's weakest season, we'll know what to kind of expect to ramp up as we go into fall and especially into winter.
He doesn't expect the Master to make a move again until winter, because
That would
it
be
took
his
last winter to
time.
move his forces into place.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Should we be considering attacking him while he's at his weakest?
He still can't cross his
can't
borders.
cross into
Yes.
still.
He doesn't want to add forces to the Master.
And the
Go, Jeremy.
and while the barrier was down for a short period of time when the terrorists attacked, it did come back up again.
Yeah,
And
it was wishful thinking.
Redrian himself doesn't have authority to push back.
No.
And Durrican's not an aggressive nation.
No.
No.
It's the nation of diplomats who always try to see the best in people.
Yeah.
Even their merchants are somewhat considered some of the nicest merchants around.
Canadians.
Everyone loves them.
So I gather this is us talking to
Yeah,
Richard.
because he was asking them what they thought of the campaign they just finished.
Yes. We lived.
Was
That's a
there
good
any
start.
mention of the mysterious creature that carried Calcrix off the field?
There was not.
Oh, because
Oh.
you were saying that you were going to mention it.
But
we will now, though.
He might. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Well, ask Redry.
you do find out from Drazzle talking about how Eep managed to get Calcrix off the field of battle when Calcrix fell.
I
It's
just
got
kind of
the-
give. I kind of give.
Right.
I kind of give Drazzle a look. I was like, eat.
Drazzle just nods.
Eat goes, like, pretending she's got
And you hear this, Michael!
Yeah.
We're like,
Hmm.
I'm impressed, eat.
Because when she got all the scarring on her wing the second time,
Right.
Yeah, that
didn't
time.
recover.
Yeah.
She was actually
Mhm.
came down.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of the higher rolls on the 10 dice.
Mm.
You've got to be careful of
Yeah.
those 10 dice,
Yeah.
D10s.
Absolutely.
Could have misplaced your body. That was one of the options.
Yeah, no,
That's-
I'm glad
that's
there
probably-
was an eat for me.
That's probably worse than losing your soul.
Because you got your soul but no body.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be the
'cause-
most annoying ghost.
Were you one of the
gonna-
ones who lost?
That can be
soul,
got
yeah,
around,
Yeah,
though.
so it was.
With the right spell, just make a
Lucius,
homunculus
I think.
body and
Yeah.
recreate a new one for you.
So
Your spells that can bring it back, yes.
has
Yes, that's
Redrian said what he's expecting us to do yet, or are you
He
waiting
has
for me
not.
to finish with my Voltaren?
He was asking them what they thought of the campaign. And did Dracnomir have anything to add about what he thought of the campaign?
I so want to be a floating
As I said, I said at the start the fact that
floating island.
there were losses, but the end result was achieved, and exactly was privately also thinking the fact that yes, and his main goal was achieved by the fact that the Atruaghin tribesmen did not have to get strongly involved.
They just kept to the edges.
Right.
Well, yeah, they got involved, but in their own
They
passive
fulfilled
aggressive
they
manner
fulfilled an important role, but they were not actually
on the field.
required to endanger themselves or the tribes significantly.
It is a significant thing to say that.
A question about your culture, though. Aren't they known as kind of like warrior fighter cultures, and wouldn't it be something they're more inclined to do? To get involved, so would that be?
That's just it. This was something that Dracnima recognised, that the forces that the tribesmen that were being brought out were more than what the tribesmen would want to face, or should be able to face,
Yeah.
even though they would be loving to
Yeah.
get into battle and face it.
Yeah.
And the
So having taken his position, having been given a high rank in the military for Derrican, he was able to facilitate the fact that Atruaghin clansmen did not get significantly involved.
and the
It was a deliberate
Atruaghin
part of his plan to actually effectively keep them out.
and the Atruaghin belief is basically one of isolation and stopping people from invading them.
Yeah.
So they
So they
actually
weren't-
achieved what their belief system is.
Yeah, so they defended their own lands, but didn't necessarily care if it went into their or not,
Yeah.
because that's not their worry.
That's not their belief.
Would you like a cushion?
Oh,
Has
no.
normal cushions being moved around?
No,
Yeah,
I'm okay. I
I'm
was
just checking.
I was reading
Okay.
books.
So you find
And
out.
the next say, Dracnima's not actually publicly stating that was
No,
one
of
his
course.
goals.
Yeah.
Of course.
It
I was
as
just
far as he
curious
concerned,
about
it was, yes,
the-
well,
The
the
culture.
overall military objectives were achieved.
It was more that because I've heard in the past how warrior-like they are, I was just curious about the point on culture, which you've answered.
And the big issue is by being people dedicated to life and Earth as their core belief system, they could be absolutely devastated by the undeath. So those two are almost like polar
'Cause they're-
opposites in
Yeah,
that sense.
no, I agree. It's a good thing the Atruagans didn't have to be.
So if
pushed
they
out there.
if the master pushes past the Atruaghin and has his no longer has that veil in protecting them, then the Atruaghin themselves almost anti what the master's been doing.
Yeah.
So once he's no longer able to hide behind that shield, they can absolutely devastate him.
Yeah.
And you may have broken his shield by what they did on the Wednesday night. That's what they're waiting to find out.
Yeah.
So, the things that you've been hearing around rumours that are currently circulating is that the elves are still continuing to siphon off their trees of life in Elfheim.
I was going to say relocate those. Are they saplings?
Well, they're creating saplings from
Yep.
the trees
Yep.
and trying to transfer as much power as they can because they don't want anything left if you can't hold the master.
Yeah.
Though there's also talk that if they do manage to do this, the elven forces may pull out.
Because they'll lose.
Because, well, they've got no reason to stay anymore.
Yeah.
That could be bad for those of us who prefer the elves to stay around.
Yes.
So with the Atruaghin,
It's been noted that for the first time in history, not just living history, for the first time in history, all the clans have united.
Ooh.
And that's
It's-
under Draknema. He's like the
That's-
chief of chiefs,
He's
isn't
the
he?
chief of chiefs, which
Yep.
means he's got a unique title. It's never been held by anyone ever.
and so the next time it's expected to occur is in 4,970 years.
So in like 586. 5086.
That's
lots.
how long it is between this sort of event occurring.
Yeah.
And it may not occur in that time because there's rumours of a sixth clan,
Oh.
Okay.
the Dragon Clan.
Yeah.
Ah. Isn't that Draknema's
Yes.
clan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Whereas Drachma thought he was just getting a try.
Well,
Go ahead, Jeremy.
you got to remember also that the player characters or the PCs have more detailed information about the situation than the general population. And like you were talking about before about the perception of the Atruagins being a violent, warlike race. That's
Not
certainly
violent,
how
but
the outside world
warrior.
sees them.
They are violent.
But
It's just
but
they're not
the point being the fact that,
warlike
like, yeah,
violent.
it's the
They're not bandit violent.
Yeah, so, yeah,
but of
when
course,
But they fight all the time.
The other factor is that yes,
They're tribal violent.
now that they've combined or they've recognised one leader, they're about to be ready potentially to swarm off the Palace
Yeah.
which is the fear for the rest of the known world.
yeah. And probably justifiably so, considering their fearsome reputation.
And something that's also been unusually noted is their ban on metal constructed items seems to have been waived by things made by the Dragon Clan.
That's right.
Yep.
So not only can
their stuff, I would presume.
that the only metal implements they're allowed to use come from the Dragon
Dragon
Clan,
Yeah.
which is a big change to their belief system.
It's huge, and I'd say a lot of them are going to maintain their beliefs.
Well,
So
they would probably use it in the war and then return it as
Quite
their
probably.
belief system, because if
Yeah.
they're no longer under the umbrella of the Dragon Clan,
then they're not
it-
covered by that
their
provision.
belief
Yeah.
system would say it's no longer suitable.
Yeah.
So you may
Which is
see
fair.
a bunch of heavily armed people with dragon crafted items coming swarming,
Yep. There is. Yeah. Yeah.
and they've been spending 10 years making these items.
Yeah. There are things that can be used to replace metal that has a similar effect.
Oh, there are stuff that do that, and the
Yeah.
clans do have that, but
Yeah.
the dragons have been specifically making items for 10 years.
Yeah. And doing it with metal is a lot easier than our chemically modified wood.
Well, they have no access to woods and hides
Yeah.
because they're under the plateau.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There is a relatively cheap ritual that will turn wood into what's basically metal, but it is a lot more expensive than making something of steel.
So is there anything else with the Atruaghin?
That's all that's passed out on the Atruaghin is that them using any form of mental implement is a shock to most people because that's being perceived as the
That's
weakness.
So yeah.
No, as their main weakness is you put a full knight against
They
someone.
don't use metal. They've got inferior weapons and armor.
Whether they do or not, it's a perception that they have that. And that perception is what has placated a lot of people.
Interesting.
And so that they are.
However,
go, Jeremy.
your personal tribesman has not yet taken
No.
up, or as apparently still prohibiting himself from using metal.
I think
Even though he'd probably be the one that might have been officially allowed the population that dragon made metal was fine.
Yes.
Yes, it's one of those many things you signed without being able to read, or because you weren't present, didn't.
It was agreed upon for him by someone else.
Else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get him a suit of
That's right.
get him a suit of mithril chain, cover it in leather on inside and out, and just tell him it's reinforced leather.
There you go.
There we go. Give you some armour that a rogue can wear.
Okay, so in the Broken Lands, the rumours coming out of there is that King Thar has formed, solidified his alliance between all of the tribes.
That's the giant, isn't it?
That is an orc.
That's
Orc.
another language I've got to get my hands on.
So he's an orc king, and he's managed to get all the outcast tribes of the Broken Lands under his banner, and now has an official banner.
Yeah. And presumably a target, because that's what he'd need. Yeah.
And again, someone who was traditionally, or the Broken Lands has traditionally been a big
Many
concern for Garrigan City.
And a big
It is
concern
just to the north of Garrigan.
and a big concern of Alfheim.
While they're all unconnected tribes,
Yeah.
they're a lot easier to control, or have they less influence?
And you can
Now-
put them against each other.
Yeah, same thing with almost any tribal groups.
And they're all
Yeah. If they're
Orc?
put
That they're all part of his court.
yes. So orcs, goblins, kobolds, giants,
Hobgoblins,
hobgoblins.
That's-
kobolds,
Trolls.
trolls,
Yeah.
ogres,
Yes.
gnolls. Gnolls basically
I
are the
like-
horror
I like gnolls.
of the Troldarans.
Yeah, because they're a constructed beastie too.
Yeah.
They are the people who wiped out the Troldar, which
Yeah.
are the ancestors of the Troldarans. So there's
Yeah.
a racial memory of that horror.
Yeah.
I like those. They're cool.
What are gnolls again?
So gnolls
They're-
are
Hyenas.
gnolls are basically
Yeah.
dogmen.
Yeah, okay, they
but-
look like I imagine they do.
Yeah.
But the version of dogman is closer to hyena than to friendly dog,
Uh-huh.
and they
They
were
got that humped back.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they were created by fire wizards who didn't figure out that they didn't add in a control mechanism.
Yeah.
They populated beyond their control to contain,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
were part of the reason the Empire of Nithia collapsed.
Yeah. They made constructed soldiers, and their clone army got out of hand.
I
Yep.
think out of all of the different like beast constructs, all that kind of stuff, I like gnolls the most. So, yeah.
And that they are amongst the most fearsome warriors out there.
I think they're cool. As a player, I think they're cool.
So the only place that they feel out of place in is the Atruaghin clans, because as much as they are an animal-like humanoid,
They're
they
not.
don't match with the people there.
They're
Yeah.
not the same.
They're not a natural creature. That's
They are a
the thing.
natural creature
Well,
now. They've been
sort
around
of.
for so long,
Oh, that's true.
and
They're
so they
naturalised.
breed true.
Yes.
And with that, they still won't get along with the other animalistic creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So none of the like the minotaurs or the alcators, as they are, or any of the other animalistic races of the Atruaghin get along with the gnolls.
Yeah.
Belief structure is just so different. Okay. In Darkin itself, they have figured out that the city of Akasoli has actually been sent to hell.
Okay.
Okay.
So when the world tree dropped on it, it pretty much
Oh, it's got a
was
mountain dropped on it.
was the actually broke its connection to the primal plane, and it had been partly transported to hell in the last 10 years, with the master sending cultists into the area, and so half of the people of Akasoli are in hell now.
So were there many?
There are people no one knew where that they had disappeared or gone, but they were basically ripping parts of it over 10 years.
Wow.
So and this could be because my memory is messed up, but at one point we were in one of those cities.
You were in that city.
That
yes.
was the city where we evacuated people.
You
from.
evacuated the people who hadn't been forced to hell.
Yeah.
And that they believe that the city is floating above the river Styx.
And was that when they split the floating tree?
That was before that. It was
no,
when
no,
they.
No. When that tree was split, that's when the whole city went to hell.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was saying when they dropped the tree on it.
Oh, okay. So
'Cause
at the end of that evacuation,
Yes.
that's when it happened.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's floating
But the
above the
people had
river
been
Styx.
sent to hell for 10 years prior to that.
People had been sent to hell for 10 years prior to that, yes.
Gotcha. So they were slowly disappearing.
They were slowly disappearing and parts of the city disappearing, but no one really noticing. When you saw burnt out areas, those areas had been sent to hell already.
Ah.
And
Okay.
as there was all these burnt out areas across the city, no one really understood that the cultists were sending big chunks of their government and support services to hell.
What was that tree called again? The special tree?
World tree.
Well, it was a world tree.
It was a
Yeah.
world tree, yes. Which in itself is a portal connecting the planes together. Which you can understand why it sent something to hell.
Yeah.
So would he have stolen that tree, or?
You don't know.
Okay.
No one knows how he can move the tree and where he got it from.
Okay.
It's something that you haven't been able to figure
Yeah.
out yet.
I've got an idea. But
And the world tree is
Potentially one of the mysteries we might want to follow.
generally
Well,
an
yeah,
instance.
yeah.
Is,
Definitely.
so when you see a world tree, it's not the world tree; it's a part of the world tree manifested in the primal plane.
Yeah.
But if I knew more about what, say, a portalologist could do, it's probably a small group of them behind what's going on, because he's projecting the thing, at least as far as I can tell.
Okay. So just to finish up this news update, rumor, whatever.
Mhm.
So half of the population of Akasoli is in the plane of hell, floating above the river Styx. Was there
Mhm.
any further information on this?
That's as much as they figured out.
Okay.
They will probably end up sending people there to find out.
How do you send people to hell?
Some people want to save others.
That's not
Well,
really-
Yeah.
there might be people down there that need to be saved.
Exactly.
No, but no. How do you do it? Do you just tell somebody go to hell and then that happens? How do you do it?
Depends on the
Oh,
GM.
You've got magicians that could do planar travel.
And
Yeah.
how much he wants to tell his
You've got
players to go
magicians
to
that could do
hell.
plane travel.
I feel like that's the magic, whereas the verbal component to the spell.
Yeah.
And there is some important captives of the of Darraken have been taken into the forests of Alfheim to a place known as Grey Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly sure where it is in Alfheim because it's not listed anywhere. None of the elves I've spoken to know where it exists.
Okay.
And so that is something that they need to track down.
Captives.
From Darraken.
Captives from
Important.
Darraken. Yeah.
They don't know who. They just know a bunch of important people that disappeared and they've turned up there.
Right.
Prisoners that they need back.
They could probably used against people of authority in Darraken as leverage.
Mm.
But who they are has been kept a secret.
Do we know who they were taken by?
Just to a place called Grey.
Grey Castle
Grey
somewhere.
Castle.
Okay.
Right.
And even their diviners have not been able to find out more at this point.
Mm.
Okay. The Dwarven King is seeking a diplomatic envoy for a special job. I'm sure that will...
Diplomatic envoys are your department.
And I speak Dwarven.
Although Calrix has quite a lot of diplomatic capacity
sorry.
because her
Go, Jeremy.
I missed something there, but like, so you're saying the Dwarvens were looking for a diplomatic envoy
Yes.
from
Yeah.
Garrigan to visit them, or they were sending an envoy somewhere?
They weren't explaining why they were looking for an envoy.
They're just looking for an envoy.
they just want one.
Because I'm just thinking, like, I wouldn't necessarily have thought that however much experience our elfin friend has in diplomacy as an envoy, not the ideal dwarven envoy.
No.
That they are looking. That the news rumors do say they're looking for someone with knowledge of the Shadowlands.
Have I not learned
That-
Dwarven?
Is it in your
I have
list of
not learned
languages?
Dwarven.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. Plus, of course, my cloak's going to make me dwarf height when we get there.
Well, it's something that they respect, not necessarily because the Balkadis elves respect those of their own height more than anything else.
Yes.
Whereas dwarves, you may find yourself with a full beard,
Which is fine.
because the dwarves respect full beards.
That's true. That's a point. My height wouldn't matter so much as the dwarfishness.
That's what I'm saying. Is not always obvious.
I'd end up being a 7-foot dwarf.
Well, I'm just saying the idea that it's your cloak that helps do this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It actually comes off your shoulders and wraps around underneath your chin and pretends to be a beard.
I like this. I like this a lot.
I like how we're both
The new
doing this right
cape
now.
beard.
Right. So if I end up talking to
Wait, you need to
If
do
you're
this
going to
too.
be cape wear, you can
No.
be cape beard.
yeah. So if I end up talking to merfolk, does it turn into tentacles?
Wrong game.
Possibly.
That's fine.
Was it this one I played an octopus? Or
It's
is it the other one I
Friday.
played an octopus? Yeah. I did turn into an octopus at one point, sit on a mage's head and make a beard for him.
I love
So
this.
That was in Friday's game.
Okay, so something else that he
I
has
think
been
David wanted it. There we go.
Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean
Yes.
style? I love it.
something else I have been looking into is rumors of the Chroma Conclave of Dragons trying to resurrect the Chaos God of Dragons.
Oh.
I just started season 2 of Vox Machina.
So the Chroma Conclave, he has reported, is a cult of the dragons, one of them, because there are a few.
Yeah.
And this one is particularly interested in bringing back a Chaos God long dead.
Do we know the name of that chaos god?
That's the problem. No one outside of the Chroma Conclave knows the name.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the reasons that one of
I
the
was gonna
reasons
say-
to bring him back.
I think that's part of maybe the gods.
technically, Calcrix is not
You-
Chroma.
Well, you've
Yeah.
you've not joined. So that it's not all chromatic dragons belong to the Chroma Conclave. They're a subset of chromatic dragons and some other dragon types that have decided to bring back a Chaos God.
Because I was gonna say in this setting, it's not necessarily all chromatics are evil and then all
No.
metallics are good. It's just like your base is your chrome and you go up
Yeah.
in chromatic.
Well, I've got that Shield of the Hatmet, but I don't think that bears on this. It
No.
just means
It's.
I have been doing more research.
Yeah.
And with your research, you have figured out that Bahamut was the dragon god of law.
So this is his opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which the Wednesday night group saw being killed,
Right.
Oh, so Bahamut
along with Bahamut.
was killed?
yeah,
Well,
Bahamut
there's,
and Takesis were the two that they saw killed.
Yeah.
The dragon gods of law and chaos.
Yep.
Whereas the dragon god of neutrality wasn't
Long
anywhere to
time
be
ago.
seen.
Yeah.
But it most likely got killed off as well.
To be honest, I'm surprised Calcrix has got a shield from a dragon god of law because she's chaotic. But
They have you have been in contact with the Metallic Conclave of Dragons. Metallic Conclave. Metallic Conclave, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Really weird names they give themselves.
It's a hard one to say.
Who are trying to bring back the Dragon God of Law.
Right.
Because if someone's going to bring back the Dragon God of Chaos, and you can't stop them.
You've got to have a counter.
Yep.
So they've been in contact with
Calcrix,
Calcrix?
yes.
Yeah. About Bahamut?
Yes, which is how they know the name.
Oh yeah, because like at this point it was like just a dead card, so like only Calcrix really knows
We
the
didn't
name.
know the name at all before. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they called? The
Metallic Conclave.
Metallic Conclave.
Mm.
So Metallic and Conclave, where you join the sea and Conclave together.
Mm.
I see what they did there.
Hi, at least they didn't try and make up an acronym and then, or select the words that make you an acronym.
They don't want to go with MCC.
You should see how they used to do it in the public service. They really, really wanted some of their acronyms to say things like FUQ.
Yeah. Oh
All
yeah.
those fun ones.
There's a lot of places that try and make their acronyms work
Oh yeah.
in particular ways. NASA's really, really good at it.
Hmm.
They've got some people with big thesauruses.
Yep.
Well, considering there is a Australian space research called ARS.
Mm.
Mm.
Well,
I've
They-
always wanted a T-shirt or a cap from there, but I've never been able to organise it.
I've got their
I have some stuff from the Australian
not
Space
Sojourner,
Force.
but the Mars rover that died.
Mm.
Whichever
I've got the I've got the drink cooler for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so other things that he talks about is he's managed to open up Ridrian inns
Joke side.
in the cities of Corindus and Thyados.
Can you
Mhm.
spell Corindus?
Kerendas.
And
It's
did you say that was
basically the,
in?
Thyados,
the
the
most-
Titan Empire.
One of the closest major cities to Tyranny.
And what was the second city?
Well, I hadn't gone to the second
Oh,
city.
okay.
That was in Thyados.
Well, I must. I heard Corindus and Thyados, and my brain thought two cities.
That's in the nation of Empire of Thyados.
So they're knights with its in.
Yep. He opened one up in Norvik in Northern Reaches,
No, Nordic.
and Sodderford as well.
Sodderford.
Yeah, Soderfjord.
And
I'm glad you spelt that because I was going to turn that into a bad word.
Mm-hmm.
And Norvik is in.
Is in also the Northern Reaches.
both of those.
So
Okay.
you've now got the capitals of Vestland and Sodderford Yaldums as locations you can go to.
Perfect.
And the good news about that is it means that when we want to go north, we don't have to go through Yalarum.
Yeah. That's gonna be
and avoid
nice.
forgetting things.
Yeah, yeah. No, I very much would like to. As much as I like visiting the Queen of Darkness, I'm not a big fan of Yalarum
Okay,
in
so
general.
in Ethinger, all I can report on is it's the year of the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't know what that means.
Oh. Hmm.
It's the
Because-
time to roar.
Could be. If that's the case, then that there could be another army marching across the world.
Yeah,
Please
good
no.
mice.
Because the as much as people are afraid of the Atruaghin, they're also afraid of the combined forces of the Ethingarians.
Mm-hmm.
The Great Khan has shown a lot of restraint in not sacking all the neighbouring countries,
Mm.
but it's only a matter of time before he retaliates against the Haldanic Knights.
Mm.
And if he does, that could upend everything.
Mm.
Because if they disappear, then the Alphatians have a clear shot to take out Glantry.
Yeah. And that's just going to make a big mess.
Yeah, we don't want that.
So there's still some sort of undead war happening in Glantry.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what's happening with that.
We can't go there. So, hey.
But he has discovered, with all that they have a network that they'll be using that bypasses the Immortals wards on the country.
Does that mean we could technically go?
You could technically go, but that means you pretty much have to wade through multiple armies of undead fighting each other.
Not the best. Be a bit noticeable too.
But there was at one stage the possibility of going to Glantry to get to Redrian's reactor thingy. I can't remember what part it was.
Yeah, well, that was the point, was the fact that, yeah, we discovered, or sorry, I'll rephrase that, everybody except Batnima
Yes.
Yeah.
is aware that Glantry, somewhere in Glantry, is the item that the Immortals are fighting over.
The downside of going there without prior knowledge is you're unlikely to find anything, because in that country itself it would be most likely hidden or removed already, because that's what they're fighting over.
Yeah.
And it won't be sitting somewhere out in the open where you can stumble across it by accident, because if it was, it would already be gone.
Yeah, and they'll have moved it from wherever it is on the premise that if someone's after it, they're going to have already found out the information that presently exists, so let's make sure it's not there.
And most likely the gods themselves are hiding it, so stumbling across it by accident would be extremely rare.
Which is why the fact that, yeah, those who know to look for it don't have enough time to find it,
Yeah.
and those who don't know to look for it, or don't know what they're looking for, aren't going to find it because it's not going to come across it.
Yes, and you're not going to find it by accident, because they're going to have at least one god of luck saying that ain't freaking happening.
Okay. Other things that are happening. There's a whole lot of quests that the Arendi are looking for bodies to complete. They always looking for adventurers willing to sign up and attempt the impossible.
And who are the Arendi that we would maybe care and complete?
They
some of those
are
quests?
the islanders to the south.
Is that
And the
your
main
people?
reason, and the main reason that the master
Yes.
does not have a ocean-going fleet,
Because they broke it.
if they came anywhere near this place, yet they would sink it. And the only way to get to Darken is to go through these people.
Yes.
I am of the Makai people of the Urendi Isles, so yes,
Yes.
they're my people.
So you might care and
Yeah.
want to do some quests.
Though there are rumours of coming out of R&D that the Makai generally keep to themselves,
Yep.
that the bastion between the surface and the seas has gone down.
Oh.
That is where they negotiate and make peace between all the different nations above and below the water. Someone's taken it out.
So, sorry,
That's
who got taken out
pretty-
from where?
There is a bastion, a location where they negotiate between the surface and the undersea kingdoms,
Yep.
and someone's taken it out.
Someone doesn't want those discussions to succeed any further.
Yes.
So is part of this one of these quests helping re-establish that?
That's a rumour that's not been sent outside the country.
Okay, alright.
So Redrian's managed to get hold of it from people who
Yep.
don't normally talk to outsiders.
Yep.
And Lani would have an idea of more about that, as that's basically also where Makai people go to pilgrimage to their gods.
Yep.
So it's a holy place that none of the Makai would ever consider to assault in
And
any way,
it's-
shape, or form.
Yeah,
Being
so it means
assaulted.
that there's somebody else
It's-
who did something.
So it's been a place of peace and serenity for longer than anyone can remember.
Yeah.
So it's not just their place for negotiations, it's a place of pilgrimage and things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the princesses of Arendi has gone missing.
There you go, here's your chance to be a prince
Mm.
of the people.
Get a big reaction.
And it's been blamed on Minrathat, the neighbouring merchant nation of islands. Which
These
makes
might be
them,
things that you want to add to your titles with.
because the island in question that was the neutral ground is between Irendi and Minruthad, and then this person going missing means that there's a lot of tension in those waters. There's a good chance that Irendi and Minruthad will actually go to war with each other.
Okay.
Minruthad has the numbers, Irendi has the navy.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of them, it would be a fairly even war, but it would wipe out the entirety of the shipping for as far as anyone will know.
It will affect a lot of people, and it will also enable the master to get his boats through.
Yeah.
Which We is don't the want one that to thing that we happen. have
I
really
think,
stopping him.
yeah, I think there's like 4 or 5 reasons for us to actually do that one.
I think
Okay.
I was gonna say like
Plus you get to introduce us to
Lonnie
your family.
would definitely be super interested in doing that in particular because that is something that is an important cause to her. But she of course is
It is a very important cause.
willing to go wherever her party sees fit.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds pretty important, though.
Well,
So-
yeah. Well, my okay. Cluel's view, given the overall situation that everyone's in at the moment, is that's the one he's
Currently
He's-
flagged.
he's got flagged as the thing to
There's
do.
still more.
Yeah.
So in the northern
There's
reaches,
always more.
Yeah.
in the northern reaches, they basically Redrian's actually looking at some further investigation into the 4 cults, because he believes that there's more to it than what they've let on.
4 cults.
The 4 cults of the northern reaches.
You're not suggesting that the Dark Lady may not have been entirely forthcoming in all the information she provided.
He says because there's 4 elemental cults there that each have darkness and another element.
Oh, you mean in the tomb that we're in with the archaeologist? Or-
No.
No, this is this was up
the
in the
destruction
northern
one.
reaches when
okay.
that was the Wednesday group went up there, wasn't it?
Okay.
The Wednesday group and the Friday group.
destruction orb was
Yeah,
an
this is
orb
where I get
from
confused.
The orb of destruction came from one of these groups.
It came from
Right.
the air.
It would have been the fire one.
The fire
Yeah.
group, yes. And so the orb of destruction came from the fire cults. So basically, these cults are darkness plus one of the other elements combined, kind of thing.
But the other thing
Symbols
that
and-
I'm assuming that
Sorry, I'm struggling to hear.
Redrian would explain if the representations for the other parties weren't present,
Hmm.
was the fact that these cults apparently, at least the very nucleus of them, the founders of them, were actually Alphasian mages, part of their 250,000 wizards stuff, who had been either kidnapped or subverted, I think it was subverted, away from Alphasia by the so-called Dark Lady, who then effectively brought them over here and allowed them to
Oh, them. Yep.
go their separate
Taking
ways
some to
to
remember.
form these 4 separate elemental cults.
So they're like the Griffin,
Yes,
which were the
those
air, the
people,
Griffin
yeah.
Riders,
Yep.
and then we had was it the Halfling?
Yeah.
And then there was
I was going to get to them
Mhm.
once I got through what he was asking people to do.
Yeah.
So he wants you to look into what combining darkness with the other elements actually mean. Because up until recently, they seemed a little bit more benign until they started pulling out things like the devastation orbs.
Right.
The
Which
devastation
we were-
orb
those
is
are
a
pretty
weapon
bad.
of mass destruction, which can pretty much turn the tide of war. And finding out that they were the shock troops of the Alphatians before they defected
Yeah.
was a big bit of information that no one found out until recently. So passing that on is why he's wanting to look into that. And he's also managed to discover something the dwarves are really looking for, is a dwarven relic known as the Orc Splitter.
the
So,
Orcs
Orc
Orc
Splitter.
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 So you
Yes.
might be able to get
dwarves on site if you can find that while you're there. Because
So
that's
that might be in the same region as our.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Maybe.
it sounds like a random hammer that Gradshaw's thrown away.
Right.
And so the cults that he's talking about is a cult of air and darkness known as the Howling Hatred. And he believes that they've got a temple hidden there somewhere. There's a cult of darkness and earth known as the Black Earth, who also have a temple there. A cult of darkness and fire known as the Internal Flame also have a temple that they've established. And the last one is the cult of darkness and water known as the Crushing Wave.
So for those of us who write really slow, there was Howling Hatred, which was which two elements?
That was air and darkness.
Air. Yep, and then there was
The Eternal Flame, which was darkness and fire.
the fire. Was it just Eternal Flame? Yep.
Black Earth, which is darkness and earth.
It's each of the four
Yep.
elements with darkness.
And Crushing Wave.
And yeah, I know the Crushing Wave one. Dirty water.
I've started playing. I know exactly what campaign this is. I started playing it. I know kind of how it goes, but then we had a TPK and we never finished it. So that's why I'm just like, as a player, I'm just like, oh, I actually want to see what this turns out to be, but also I'm like, that sounds dangerous.
And what twist I've thrown into it.
Exactly, because you've added so much more to it. I'm just like, oh, this sounds dangerous. Sounds
So-
cool though.
In Rockhome, there is that whole that the dwarves are looking for the relic and an emissary, which you've already heard about. So those two things overlap for Rockhome.
Okay.
So then you've got the Shadowlands,
Okay.
but unfortunately you don't have an emissary there. So
Darn.
Not one we can admit to.
Not yet.
Well, again, if we go that way, the titles that Plural uses
Will change.
openly may change.
The problem is they want an emissary between the Shadow Elves and the outside, and I can't admit to that.
and so
So I can't do that one.
So in Thyatus, there's rumours of a heroic bard has been discovered, but has been imprisoned somewhere. They don't know. No one really knows the details of it, but they seem to be someone who has been behind a lot of music and culture that people haven't attributed with them, but have been around for long enough that it may bring hope to the world if they can find them.
Too many useful things.
So this is getting Kesha. Gotcha.
The Thyatans have also discovered a Tomb of the Nine Gods, located in the Isle of Dawn between Thyatus and Alphatia. So who those nine gods are, who knows? They just know it's the Tomb of the Nine Gods. They may be dead gods.
That's
Hang
the
on,
thing.
can I just confirm, was that tomb or tome?
T-O-M-B.
Right, so the crypt of nine gods,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
the book of nine gods.
Yes.
Yeah, I made the mistake of writing T-O-M-E.
Right, and dead gods, which means you're probably not going to know their names until you actually go there.
And war has broken out in as much as has happened with the Master is now physical violence happening between Alphatia and Thyatus on the Isle of Dawn.
Yeah.
They have started open warfare.
Not
Hold on
necessarily
long
something we
enough.
want to, it's not something we want to walk into the middle of.
It's like that whole thing between France and England. It's like, why don't you guys just kiss by now? So.
Well, they did that beforehand. That's part of the problem.
And there are rumours of 4 possible artifacts floating around Yalarum that you might be able to dig up in the sands. Something known as the Carnelian Idol.
Yeah.
Ifriti magic lamps.
Ooh.
Uh, something known as the Sparkling Spear, which is supposed to be able to take out fire aspected people.
Did you say spear or sphere?
Spear, S-P-E-A-R.
Did you say sapphire sphere?
Sparkling.
Sparkling.
Right.
Sparkling
Spear.
spear.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to say that 10 times.
The obviously important part of that was in the alarm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in the sense of the alarm.
Yes.
The Ionian gems are artifacts made by one of the gods. All of these are artifacts that have just rumors say that they may be found soon.
Yeah.
The other ones I don't think are of importance right now, but no, I'm trying to keep it to what's relevant to your characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably have more for Wednesday and Friday when I finally get through some of the books.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a bit of both while I'm doing it. So while you think,
there's a lot here.
so while you're thinking about what you're doing, I'm going to duck to the
There is a
bathroom.
lot.
I
I have.
Get through.
I still think the
I
Irendi thing is going to be more generally useful in the broad sense.
I'm just looking at everything.
Because there's 3 that I want to do.
Yeah.
Because
Because in terms of like the
having a look
ones.
at the broader scale of things.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Arendi one and going, yeah, let's do that.
And yeah, I was gonna say the ones that stuck out to me was perhaps Broken Lands, the Epicoli being in Hell, the stuff in the Northern Reaches, but that's just because I know where the source book is. But as a character, very pulled towards Arendi.
Yeah.
Well, last time we were given a set of quests to do, we went with Tolokos, who wanted to go down into the dungeon crawling.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
So if presumably no one else objects, we could go with you doing the Arendi.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
so
just
let me go
like we
back
did with the
to-
tomb, if we finish that and we've got something else to do, we can move on to something else.
Oh yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
other players is more
Yeah. we can
connected
go.
to.
Yeah. We can pick a second one,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
because if we finish this one before this adventuring season ends,
Ends, yeah.
then we can start into the next
Yeah.
one.
Exactly. I
Um,
was gonna say there's quite a few small ones in Arendi, but if we start with the princess,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they said
Well,
there's other quests, so.
From Jack Dealer's perspective, he personally happened to look at Randy because he's technically the one that's closest to the plateau.
yeah.
Even though the Fox says so, not technically out there. Particularly,
proximity has its
it's likely to have some connection with the Tiger clans down in the southern marshes.
They also have a strong connection with the Turtle Clan.
Yeah.
There is that. Yes.
But it's also the other one that Jack Dimmer was interested in was in fact the tomb of the 9 forgotten gods.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that one
As
seems
a god of knowledge, a shaman of a god of knowledge.
Yeah.
He's certainly keen to find out more. And that's in the same, that's only a bit further south of along the water.
So how about we go Erendi and then the tomb, if we've got time to do the tomb.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we had time to do the tomb, it would be something.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. But basically, we're not going to go for just the one thing. We'll
Right?
only
Yeah,
do
because the
two if
tomb
we
is
can.
in.
Because you don't have to travel too far either.
Yeah, because
Plus, of course, if we
border there.
well, the other thing too is if we're even moderately successful at the Erendi thing, we'll be able to get a ship to the other place.
Okay, let's see.
Well, I'm sure Marty can secure the ship fairly easily.
Easily.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're currently here,
Yeah. We're there.
Arendi's down
Arendi's there.
here.
Right.
and the place you wanted to go to is somewhere over here. That's the other
okay.
one.
Oh, that's the other one. All right, so it's well
Okay.
over there.
Gotcha. So I mean, if we get around.
It also puts you right into the worst of the fighting.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
that
sorry.
also has an issue.
The tomb of the gods, you said that was partway to the Isle of Dawn.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
which
it
is over
was.
there.
Sorry,
Yes.
Alright, so-
I heard the
The two.
the Isle of Dread.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. The
So,
other one.
which is why I had it down south from Wendy. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So let's go. Okay. My
Let's start
preference
with
for secondary one would be the dwarven one.
Which door?
The dwarf. The one where they
Emissary.
The Ambassador and the Warhammer.
Yeah, because
The Envoy and the Warhammer.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think my backup would be Northern Lights, but first vote is the Arendian, starting with the missing princess.
Well, why don't we start with Arendi, because other groups further on the week might take on other ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we won't be necessarily certain of getting our secondaries, but
Difference
Once
is if
we've
someone
done the
else
arena-
meets with the Dwarven King, he probably won't meet with someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fine. Exactly right.
Which is okay.
And
But
he's in
that-
Darken City at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, well,
I don't know
actually,
that any of the other. I'm sure that Red Druid has other Arendian
it all depends on what they pick.
Yeah.
staff, but I believe amongst the PC groups,
Yeah.
Lani's the only Arendian
I think so.
amongst
The only one
PC,
remaining.
correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So have the other ones.
That's what I thought.
Alright.
So it does make sense.
Oh yeah,
that-
title. Yeah. So I guess I would be the only PC currently with any
Yeah.
vested interest. So. Okay. I mean, if you guys are perfectly okay going along with that, I kind of like the idea of that quest.
Well, as I said, from Jack Dimmock's perspective, it's the one that's closest to his clan concerns.
Exactly, and it's
Uh.
it's the one thing if this missing prince is causing issues between Arendi and Minothad, that's going to take out so much of the naval force that the free, I would say at this point, the free nations have against the master. So
And it may even take the halfling pirates out of the lake to
Yeah.
side with one side or the other.
exactly.
They may even fight amongst themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been keeping the peace between those two nations is of utmost importance in the long scheme of things.
Yeah.
And hey, you know, Jack Dimmock might be in the hunt for a traditional bride. He's got to go and hunt down the princess and put her over his shoulder and take her back. Traditional Atruaghin bridal ceremony.
Yes. Yes. With no assumptions whatsoever made on the species of the princess involved.
Yes.
They're not racist.
No.
They're one of the few non-racist people out there.
Yep.
They treat everyone equally.
Yep. High charisma female bugbear. There we go.
And when you use that as a people, when you have so many of them who are racist, it stands out.
It does.
Okay, so question is, do you meet with the King of Rockhome before you go?
I don't know.
Because amusingly, of all the people who are left to meet with him, Lowell has the best chances of dealing with stuff because the dwarf they have in the Wednesday group is not particularly savvy when it comes to politics.
Right.
He also married a halfling, so he's
a bit of an out there anyway.
He's got the meat to back him up though, so it's all fine.
Right. He's still.
I'm good.
I'm presuming he's a fighter or something like that. Thank you very much.
He is. He also married into the halfling assassin clan.
Oh, I
That's
see
gonna
where
really
this
turn the
one
dwarves
leads.
off.
I will share comment for after because I don't want to influence any choices.
Yes, it would be amusing, by the way. I didn't make that assumption, but it would be amusing if my cook is a member of that clan. Because my cook is a halfling.
Quite possibly because most halflings honour that clan quite greatly.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's the equivalent of Dread Pirate Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
He's so respected that he is one of the halfling heroes.
Yep.
But he never
So-
gives a title.
So my cook is
He
Polo.
says cook.
My cook is Polo Silverstring. He's a druid and cook.
Nice.
He does amazing things with mushrooms. including cooking.
Well, hey,
She'll comment. I'll share comment for after. Ask me about mushrooms, and I will share comment after game.
okay. So yes, if you wish to meet with the king, he will.
Yep, I will.
Because having the king of Rockhome in Darrakan hasn't happened before. It's very rare that the dwarves have a royalty has actually left their nation.
So, the fact that I am a diplomat, well respected in Darrakan, having renown 2 with the city, and I speak Dwarven, and I'm interested in what he wants to talk about. Getting to see him, my noble background will help me with.
I speak Dwarven as well, and I also have my coffee set diplomatic
Which is, well, that's the thing. I would ask you to bring that because that's going to be useful. If it's not going to be top-end ale, he's probably going to like a good coffee.
or tea.
Or tea.
But the whole
Make it spicy.
ritual helps me in diplomatic meetings.
You find out he's in his enclave on the edge of the city,
Mm-hmm.
which reminds you of your portable castle. Just that your portable castle feels like a toy in comparison.
Well, yes, because mine's a small tower to put a party of people in, and maybe some horses in the bottom, and he's got an actual portable castle. Yeah, I want
Well,
one.
Better than I can fly.
Yeah, I want one.
well, it's hard to tell. No one saw it before it arrived,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes up more than a city block worth of space.
That's a hell of a lot of money worth of sort of personal domain, but it would work.
But if you travelled with this, you can understand why dwarves don't travel with it very often.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the other reason why you've never seen the dwarven royalty outside of their world, their kingdom.
Yeah,
They bring it with them.
Yeah.
Lonnie does not see any problem with going to meet the king to see what he is requesting.
Mm-hmm.
Kessler has different ideas. This is what Lonnie says. I will share after game.
And you've got enough knowledge about things to dress appropriately for it too.
Yep. I got a shiny new medal. It's exciting. But I'm not gonna have a. I don't have a beard, so you're not gonna respect me.
Well, hey, dwarves respect male and female fighters. That's what they honour more above most
Yep.
things.
Very true.
Because their warrior women fight alongside the men.
Yep.
I just can't tell with the real man.
Calcrix is very good for a little bit of cat hair and a little bit of paste and glue you on a little beard.
Wait, does Calcrix want one too? Because she's a dragon.
She'd probably go for it.
Heck yeah.
And eat.
He
as well.
might turn himself into a beard for Calcrix.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Knowing Eep, she won't tell Calcrix until after she's appeared on Calcrix's chin.
Okay, so showing up to the dwarven, what is literally a castle in the side of Darrakan City.
I'm very impressed and I want one.
Anyone?
For now.
The castle also includes what appears to be siege weapons, as well as what looks to be at least hundreds of dwarves on the walls.
Of course. It's got to be properly stocked.
They all look at everything suspiciously, considering that they look very much at war footing.
Yes. Well, everyone is.
Well, you
Oh, they're in enemy territory.
assume
they're
I.e. not Dwarfo. Not Rockhome.
So you'd assume that anytime they leave Rockhome with this, the dwarves always assume they're under attack.
Well, perfectly reasonable.
Because they are protecting their king after all. And it's unheard of for dwarves to attack their own royalty. It's one of the most dishonest things a dwarf can do.
Yes.
Go against the king.
Anyone to do do something like that, they'd be hunted down by every other dwarf in the world.
Including the elves. It's under their
Good.
treaty.
Good point. Yeah. and I'd want to do that anyway.
So yes, you rock up. You do see that they do have a flag of the King of Rockhome.
Rocco.
That's what they call their nation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which does have the mountain of Rockhome of Dengar in it, without the dwarven city on top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't exist. And they keep telling people that.
Uh-huh.
None of their structures or things look like it is uses gears of any shape or form. Because it definitely tells you it's more dwarven construction if it seems to be stone that seems to move and manipulate under different...
Yes, particularly if it looks like it's unjointed stone. It's all made of one piece.
And you have no problems making your way in, having been announced on your way towards the gates.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would have sent a letter for an invite first, of course.
Well, Regine also had a letter of request looking for someone.
Oh, okay.
Because the dwarves had put out a request. That's why he came in person.
Hmm.
So we were just
So-
answering. We sent a letter ahead answering the request.
You have no problems getting in. They basically shuffle most of you in quickly, asking your retainers to wait out in their courtyard.
Yep.
Does Eep have to stay outside?
They don't notice it because, well, he looks like a beard.
That's fine.
Yeah.
She's happy looking beard-like.
Hmm. All of my fellows lounge outside under the southern tree.
And you'll find yourself in a probably the biggest throne room you've ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
Enough room for Calcrix to stretch out wing tips without hitting columns.
Wow.
Pretty big.
She won't do that because that might be considered as an intimidating gesture.
Well, yeah.
You are a
Hey, a
dragon.
space. I will fill it.
And you believe you could actually fly along the path to the king if you needed
Wow.
to.
She'd be tempted to do that just because it'd be fun.
Mm.
And there's lots of murals along the walls of dwarves versus just about every other race of the world,
Mm-hmm.
including dragons.
Eep pulls a sketch pad out of nowhere and starts sketching.
Mm.
Is Eep a good drawer? Is Eep a good drawer?
Not really, but now Calcrix's beard has got a pencil in his drawing.
Right.
If Lonnie ever is blessed with one of Eep's drawings, she will hold on to it dearly.
Well, it's most likely drawing on Calcrix's scales.
It's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Lonnie will.
Because can do a pen, but just doesn't do the paper very well.
That's right.
She just
So is-
steals a scale every now and then.
So has anyone actually played noughts and crosses on your scales
Eep has.
with Eep?
With herself.
I managed to win.
Dang, cat game again. Eep, you know what you do.
But she'd happily play noughts and crosses with anyone who wanted to play with her.
Hmm.
Okay, you make it all the way across the area. I was just going to see if I can get a look of what most of the dwarves look like.
Yeah.
So that's basically what the Dwarven King is designed to look like.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And I may even have his name in here, which I should have
Basically,
grabbed
very-
out earlier.
Basically, a very short, very short Viking.
I'm thinking full on King Robert Barrett.
No.
Game of Thrones, just short.
What do you think of a Viking and a really tall dwarf?
I'm not going to get into an argument between Vikings and dwarves over who's the original.
Size is subjective. Who's to say that Vikings aren't dwarves all along, just drawn bigger?
Okay, so he is introduced to you as King Everast the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
And his title is the Dwarf King. And this is the first time you've actually heard of him leaving the Dwarven City.
Yes. Which is one of the reasons I actually wanted to come and do this, because this is just, it's a bit unique. and it's in what I do.
And amongst your family, you've heard of the fact that he's unusual amongst the dwarves. He actually has been promoting commerce and trade and dealing fairly with Darkin.
Dude, fairly.
Trade
Yeah.
deals.
He's also one of the shrewdest dealers that the Darkin people have ever come across.
That's saying something. I will not. If we do end up negotiating for trade deals, I'm going to be really freaking careful.
Well, he's one of those things where they say never trust an elf sometimes, and it's like never deal with a dwarf
Mm-hmm.
So
because
never
you're
deal with
bound
trade.
to lose.
Oh yeah.
Plus, they also can outlive you, so they have
There's all your
length of life is part of the clause.
Yes.
That's why they don't deal with elves.
Yes, because elves have that advantage.
Yeah.
Well, elves don't care about that because they'll outlive you anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yes.
They just assume that's a given, whereas dwarves don't.
Yes.
Okay, so he is wearing what appears to be golden mithril.
Wow.
I'm not.
Fancy.
Yeah.
You've only ever seen silver mithril before,
Mm-hmm.
but you have heard that there are rarer kinds of mithril.
Oh, so it's not gold wash mithril; it's actually gold mithril.
Gold mithril.
Calcrix is.
I am seriously impressed because I'm actually wearing mithril armor. Just not
Calcrix looks
visible.
like Puss in Boots. Looking at the gold mithril, because
Big
it's such a
eyes.
rare but also valuable mineral metal.
Mm.
I didn't know it came in gold.
Most
Pretty
people
much.
don't.
The dwarves are experts in
Exactly.
metalcraft,
This is
whereas
what they
the owls are expert in silver mithril.
do. Yeah.
Yes.
But just a small bracelet.
But
for
One
that.
is summer aspect and the other's moon aspect. Or sun aspect and moon aspect sort of thing.
And the dwarves have been known to work other types of mithril as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Just that the golden mithril is what appears to impress most people because they think it's just gold armor.
Yeah. And then it turns out not to be
Pretty
soft
impressive.
and squishy. Oh yeah, it's incredibly impressive. I am suitably impressed. I will not let it cow me, however. I am already meeting a king. We don't need to overdo it.
And you do pick up as you're walking along that he has quite a few warriors in the hall that you just can't see.
Oh, I'd be surprised if you didn't.
As in, it's like shadows moving.
Yep.
You know they're there, but you can't see them.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's equivalent of you're brushing past them.
Yeah.
And it's either the design of the throne room itself or the magic that they're wielding that makes them disappear from in plain
Yeah.
sight.
Dwarven ninjas.
Or maybe, unlike the elves, the dwarf get on with their shadow kin.
Maybe.
The dark dwarves are part of dwarven culture.
Yep.
There we go.
And each of their kinds are respected, except for the earth dwarves, the air dwarves that are their farmers.
They live
Air
outside.
dwarves are just weird.
Yeah, the air dwarves are the ones who live in the open sky and are seen as
They're
abhorrent.
crazy.
They're basically big gnomes.
Basically.
But that's what they say about them.
They are respected more than gnomes, but only because they believe gnomes don't exist.
Oh yeah, that's
Yes.
right. I forgot about that.
Gotta remember that one.
I forgot.
Gnomes don't exist, just ask any dwarf.
So yes, and
So-
he has what appears to be a scepter in the shape of a warhammer.
I would be incredibly unsurprised if it's not either a warhammer or an axe. Or a double one with a warhammer on one end and an axe on the other.
But it does look weighty.
Yes.
So imagine like the king's hammer in the Iron Dwarves of Lord of the Rings. Big
Yeah.
weighty sort of thing,
Yeah.
which he's just casually holding.
Bleep, bloop, bloop, bloop. You're just like,
Yeah, of
that's
course if
pretty
he
impressive.
Yeah. If he really feels like overdoing it, it's probably hollow, but
Mm-hmm.
no, it's probably
Or
just magical.
made out of mithril-like material, which means it would be half its weight.
Yeah.
but still just as hefty. And
It's large and impressive and looks like it's made of iron.
well, it actually looks like it's made out of black mithril.
So they've got more
That
than
could
one
also
coloured mithril here.
That could also be adamantine too.
It's adamantine mithril.
Well, it could just be flat out adamantine.
Doesn't look like adamantine because it doesn't have that dull look that adamantine has. It has
this is
that
shiny.
has that shiny black look, which
That's very pretty. It actually has similarities to my
Calcrix,
sword.
no,
actually,
she
but
doesn't have the
I'm
wealth
not
to
gonna-
get like even like a little
I'm
bracelet of the golden mithril, but
Yes.
gosh, she wishes she did.
Yes, I'm not going to draw my sword,
would be
however,
so
right at the
rich.
moment.
Okay, so as you come up, a herald announces all your titles.
Yes.
Absolutely
all
every
I'm
one of
wanting.
your titles.
Right, so that's 5 minutes.
And then what about the rest of the party?
Well, I was going to say, then they move on to
No.
Lani.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's 5 minutes. Each of us only takes like 30 seconds or so. The rest
if,
of them are live.
if it's possible, Calcrix, if she's introduced, if she doesn't want any of her titles, she's just Calcrix.
You're going to get
If that
them
makes
anyway.
sense.
Well, you might say that and look completely embarrassed as they continue to roll off your titles.
If she's got any power of influence or capacity, she'd rather just
No.
be just Calcrix.
Last
Um,
title. Just how.
Yeah.
Yes.
She wants to be the Madonna of
Yeah.
dragons
But
rather
it's yeah, but it is
than the
going
Lani
to be
of dragons.
Yes, but it is going to be me telling them she wishes to be known simply as Calcrix.
Well, hopefully
Here
they
is-
respect her. And...
Here is a list of her titles. Please don't use them.
No, she doesn't.
Well, you would have learnt from the
Yeah.
dwarven culture that the title point is the important part of meeting the king,
Yeah.
to identify who you are to the king and make sure he knows who you are.
That's how you
Eh,
learn
but
these
those
spells,
with
unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
non-impressive
Well, maybe not
titles
then.
are generally asked to leave.
Yes.
Well,
He's-
I guess then
yeah.
she
He's-
has to use her titles, but she'd really
Yeah.
rather not.
and
It's-
he's going to have a lawmaster on his elbow too.
But it's normally only done once in his presence.
Yeah.
But doing more than once is pretentious.
Yeah. And if you ever come and see him a second time, you've got more titles. I'll announce your new titles, but not your old ones.
Yeah.
Because the king's expected to remember everyone who's had their title given to him.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it's important stuff. And that's what the lawkeeper's for.
Because they only ever bring important people to the king.
What?
I don't
It's
know
a
that
king.
Calcrix actually has a lot of titles.
I gave
She
you
would
one
have a
last time.
few. She's still considered a commander of the army of Daraghan.
Yep.
Yeah.
She would also be spoken up as being a member of the Metalla Conclave.
But
You're
still-
also still a member
Well,
of.
she kind of wouldn't want that necessarily being
Yeah.
public.
You also have a position in Clan Floor,
Mm.
unless you wish to give it up.
No, she hasn't.
And your
So-
title of Lord of a Domain in Daraghan would also be there.
Yeah.
And Envoy of the Queen of Darkness would also be put in there.
Yep.
Yeah. We can stop now, right?
No.
Well, how many of the Shadow Girl titles did Cool get?
I was gonna say, did those
Quite a
get
few
read?
of them.
Ah. This may be a place where I could actually use those.
It was dropped.
Those
Yeah.
Because the people who were dropping it used their magic to divine everyone's titles.
Yeah, which I know they'd be using, so I'd give them the full set of titles anyway.
Because that's part of what their magic is all about, is
Yeah.
because it can cower other people by just blatting titles everywhere.
I was gonna say,
And-
and they even have the titles that Lonnie gave to herself.
Yep.
Right.
Because
so,
as far as the gods are concerned, they're worthy titles because you use them.
yeah.
Yes.
So Alfheim Hero's Bane is one of my titles.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I have the great
Savior
look
of Alfheim.
embarrassed, but what?
You'd be Savior of Alfheim, but also
Yes.
Alfheim's Hero's Bane. Yeah.
Savior of Alfheim,
We're both.
Prince of the Shadow Elves, Alfheim Hero's Bane. That's not a title I want to use very often.
You are both.
And Lani does get Nightwalker's Bane up there.
Yes.
Nice.
And she's like,
Yeah.
next time I see this king, more titles. It's gonna be the same list. You'd be like, wait, but like, why are you reading them again? I was like, no, these are all new.
Yeah. Yes.
And so yes, it does take a full 20 minutes of titles being read out in a booming dwarven voice.
Of course, they're going to be declaimed,
Sounds
not
cool.
just read out, so it's going to be a little slower.
Yes. Well, it is all ceremony for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And once they finish with your titles, they then start reading off the king's titles.
Yes.
Which
I-
I'm sure he has
will-
so many.
Yeah, I will have warned people that this will take a bit of a while. Please try not to look bored.
Yeah.
Of course, getting all these titles out is... Some of them are going to be... You what?
So not only is he king of Rockhome, he's also head of the Everast clan, as well as head of the family of Everast, which are two completely different titles
Yeah.
and meanings, saying he is amongst the most respected of the most respected clans of dwarves,
Yeah.
with the Everast clan being the royal clan, and not always the royal clan is in charge.
Yeah.
So his family line is reputed to be descended from the first king of the dwarves,
Gotcha.
which is saying something of
Yeah.
importance.
Yeah. That's the thing too. If my shadow elf title comes up, bearer of this moonblade, and it will have its own name, I'm presuming.
And the other thing is, not a single thing is said about Drazzle as he's amongst you.
See, that's what Cowcrooks wanted.
Not even be acknowledged?
Not even his name.
Yep.
Yes and no. Not to be acknowledged, but
Once Lonnie realizes
Not
this,
overdoing
she
it.
just looks at,
Not
at
overdone.
whatever Drazzle's doing. I'm guessing he's
Yeah.
writing in the book.
Well, you have been
Like a
told.
lot of places, they prefer to think that Dragon doesn't exist.
There's also the thing is you did get told that if the king has been told your titles beforehand, he's not
Oh.
told them again.
Right,
So
so that
he's
means that
already
he's
had
met
Drazzles.
Drazzle before.
Yes. He doesn't need to be introduced.
He should know Drazzle.
Yes. And that's the thing. Next
Cowcrooks
time.
is just
I'm really
getting
curious
a little
how
bit
long
more
that meeting was.
wary of being publicly announced now that
Yeah.
all the stuff's going on with the dragons. Because she doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily want it getting out where she is and what she's doing.
Yeah.
Because loyalties
But-
is a big thing amongst the dragons.
Yeah.
But
And
yes, I will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I will make a point
Yeah.
of the moonblade, because that would give me functionally an ancestry as long as his, and that has its own uses at this point.
Though technically his ancestry does go longer than yours.
Yeah, but it's still thousands of years, way longer than
It
most
gives him
people's.
more ancestry than a lot of people would have.
It's I've got more
Show-
ancestry.
showing
I've
that,
got more
like,
ancestry than most civilizations.
Not trying to outdo the king, but showing that you
Oh,
are
no,
somebody of
it's-
importance.
Yeah. Yes. I'm a member of a noble family.
More than average.
Yeah, I'm a member of a noble family, and here's all these more impressive things on top of that.
Okay, so after you hear probably about 20 minutes of the king's achievements. Most of these are in crafting, open warfare, and negotiations. So he's probably the second most prolific negotiator that you've heard of
Second.
in your career. Second,
Who's the first?
an elf.
Yeah.
Because
So-
they live for like over 900 years.
Yeah.
And the only person who might outdo the elf would be Drazzle.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't negotiate.
No.
Yeah.
He demands.
Yeah.
So what was this in his second?
Second most prolific negotiator.
Ah, okay, yep.
As in he negotiates so much and gets so many things awarded to the dwarves that most people don't negotiate with him.
Yeah.
Because very few people come out on top.
Yeah. But that's the thing with something like that. I'm going into this knowing that he's going to come out ahead, so I'm going to take that into account and
And
just try and get as much of my side of it as I can.
he's one of the few honorary members of the Darkin Diplomatic Corps because he's been brought in where others have failed.
Yeah. that's the ambition that I want to get to. I want to aim at that.
Because there are very few people who can knock sense into people with just words alone.
Yeah.
And when that fails, he's got his hammer.
Very true.
And I've got a stick. A very good stick.
Sure.
It's got a bulbous end, it's my rod.
So once the
Like a machine
echoing
gun.
of the titles finally recedes, and most people seem to have forgotten half the titles that were said because there were just so many of them. Which is the advantage of so many titles being dropped at once.
Yes.
If you only drop one title, people are bound to remember.
I'm definitely going to make sure that I get a written list of this from the Lawmaster afterwards.
You didn't memorise it all as it was said. That's the thing with it.
Yes, but I want to make sure of it because I don't want to miss one. Yeah. But for example, mine does include things like negotiator to the Galantry, negotiator to Alphatia and stuff like that. That everywhere I've got renown to, even if I've not physically been there, I have been to most places over time. But
And so he welcomes you to his halls, his humble halls as he puts it.
I can never decide if someone who says, "Welcome to my obviously extravagant, humble hall."
Well, from
is,
Dawn perspective, this is his humble hall.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, if he's sincereing that, that's one kind of personality. If he's not sincereing that, that's a completely different kind of personality.
Yeah.
And then asks if there is any refreshment or seating you'll require. Because during the whole thing you had to stand while he sat at the
That's
chair.
fine.
Calcrix
It's
would
only half an hour.
be honoured if the king would allow her to make him coffee or tea at some point, but if that's not appropriate, she's okay with that too.
He would be honoured if you made him tea.
Yeah.
So
He has not had coffee since he beat up someone by accident.
I see. Yeah.
He didn't sleep for about a week or so, and well,
Things
How
like
quick-
that.
course.
Coffee
It's a
seems to have a
dwarf.
similar
They
effect
made
on
it the
axe
dwarf
beats
way.
in that
Overdone.
manner.
A lot.
Possibly it could be green tea.
And while
Possibly.
she's preparing the tea, if there's time, she will tell
Yeah.
a very amusing story about an axe beat she knew
Yeah.
who had a very similar response to coffee, hoping that would make him laugh.
Yeah.
he laughs. He has heard of that Axby.
Make it very
Yes.
strong.
Yes. So we'll go with what's customary at this point.
At this
Because
point,
if
most of
it's-
the ceremonies will have ended, and you'll see
Yeah.
that a big chunk of the emissaries that have watched have left.
Yep, they've done their bit. Well, if he's asking about seating, it's time to sit down and have a chat.
Mm.
So, yes,
Which
definitely
is
time
the end
for
of my
seats.
thing is if he'd like to make a tea, then she would need a table.
Well,
and
they
somewhere for
yeah,
them to
as
sit.
you're talking about that, you see a group of dwarves carrying in a table. It seems to be a big slab of stone, at least enough to sit 20 people at.
So
And it gets set on some pedestals made out of marble, and some marble chairs have been brought in.
So it's an appropriate size for you in Dragonfall.
But what about
Which is
other
nice.
people?
Well, seated for 20 people.
And
you'll take
it's
up one
enough that
side
you
of it.
can just sit at the table without a chair quite comfortably.
Yeah.
So while she's doing her ritual, Eat turns from a beard back into an Eat and assists her. So, she holds up a lump of sugar towards the king, as in 1 lump or 2, and goes, Eat.
He says 3.
Okay. Eat carefully puts 3 sugars
Dwarf,
in,
of course it's overdone.
stirs it properly, and Calcrix will hand it on to him and to anyone else who wants to partake of tea.
He does tell you a tale of how the surface lands and the shadow lands, as they're called, have had a peace for many centuries. It's been a strained peace, much as it has been between the empires of Thyatis and Alphatia. But
Peace is peace.
the place known as Neutral Ground, where all the Shadowlands and the Surface Lands meet to discuss trade issues and other things, has gone silent.
same as the Erendi.
Basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
And-
holy places also.
And it's basically been a place of non-violence for longer than the dwarves have been here. It predated their dwarves coming to this area.
Okay.
And they were told about it by their first king,
Hmm.
who was not a dwarf.
Okay.
Oh.
The first, well, he does tell the story of the first king was an avatar of Dengar, their god.
Ah. Okay.
It was a super dwarf.
Literally.
Yeah.
And the stories do say that when needed, Dengar will return. The Avatar first king will return to lead the people.
Does he have a blue arrow on it? No. Okay.
Quite possibly.
So the dwarves were
You've been
also
earthbender.
experiencing silence from
The place that they just refer to as neutral ground.
their
because
neutral ground.
That's what their first king named it as,
Mhm.
and by tradition they call it the same thing no matter what other people call it.
And it
That's fair
used,
enough. It's a
used
dwarf
to
thing.
serve as a meeting ground between, did you say shadow and
And surface,
surface?
because they refer to the surface lands and the shadow lands as two separate realms.
Right.
Which the surface lands is for them, the dwarf lands are underground.
The dwarven lands are a bridge between the two. They are basically above and below.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Is that like their motto?
But most of their colonies are within reach of the surface.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Whereas the shadow elves are so deep underground that there's no chance of natural light reaching their caverns.
Yeah. Even with deep sinkholes and whatever.
So what he's looking for is a group of people able to negotiate between multiple parties, especially someone skilled in the language of the dark, to find out what's happening and open up trade and negotiations again, because if trade ends, it means open warfare may come soon. Part of the trade deals the dwarves make is it prohibits war.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of reason for trade deals.
And as such, they
So-
have stopped trading with the Thiatans and withdrawn all their people from there,
Yes.
which has caused a lot of unrest and
I'm
upset.
surprised. A lot of
Because-
people not making money.
While the dwarven gear is prized among most because it has a reputation for being unbreakable.
Yeah, it's great war gear.
So when you say skilled in the dark languages,
Shadow tongue is the
shadow tongue, would that just be Lua?
Well, most of you would be able to learn it as the common language of the Shadowlands.
Shadow, yep.
Yeah, well, I know it.
I
can teach it to you.
I have. That's not abyssal, is it?
No.
No.
That's a different thing.
It's a different thing entirely.
That is a
That's
demon tongue.
Yeah.
So you
Which
said
is not
shadow
what I
tongue,
meant, no.
didn't you?
Yeah,
Shadow tongue's in,
Wait,
is a
then what's
form of
infernal?
Elven.
Infernal is the devil tongue.
I forgot they're different. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're different, yeah. So that's what the Queen of Darkness talks to me in.
It is infernal. Yeah.
And she would also use Shadow Tongue as well, so Calcrix would know Shadow Tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put that in my languages.
Oh
then.
wait, I know Shadow Tongue. There you go.
Most of them, I tried
You
to
do?
put that into most people's
cool.
things.
Yep.
Because I had this as one of the stories.
Yep.
And I tried to put hooks in there early.
Funnily enough.
I was
not
gonna
on
say
this
I've
one,
noticed
but
the hooks along the way.
That's okay.
Should have it.
I've got it here now.
Okay, so he's looking for people who might be able to negotiate on behalf of the surface world to stop any war from occurring, because he doesn't believe that the surface can afford to overlook what's happening underground,
No.
as most of them have their eyes to the east and to the west. No one's looking down.
He brings
Yeah.
up a point.
He's worried about what's happening out on the waters as well, so he thinks that's equally important,
Which we're also looking at.
because he has a
Excellent.
bunch of people out in those lands as well,
Mhm.
providing their expertise.
And this also being
We're
said
aiming at
is
going out to Erendi as well.
if what is happening between Erendi and the below surface is being replicated, for lack of a better word, with the dwarves, it could equally be also replicated amongst other races as well. So we might end up finding that we're working our way through all of these areas, reopening the negotiations and helping people re-establish their connections.
And the reason why he's looking for an envoy is if the dwarves don't get some form of sorting out of what's happening, they're going to withdraw. They're going to withdraw from the surface world completely.
Yeah.
Because that is their tradition. When wars break out, the dwarves will not get involved and take sides because it's not their fight.
Yes.
Shame we can't do it at the same time. Although solving one may make it quicker to solve others.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It says that there are entryways to the Shadow Realms from here, from Elfheim, from Rockhome, from the Broken Lands. There are many ways to get down there. And there may even be some out in the deep waters of the Irendi Islands.
Could end up be that this is all one problem.
Yeah, because it's the connection to the underwater realms is what they're having problems with.
It's the basically the barriers between two different realms that are breaking down.
Can I ask the king a question?
You can.
Hopefully not spilling too many beans. But I'll say to him, we're actually looking into a quest addressing similar problems near the Arendi people. And I already suspect that this might actually be a singular problem rather than separate problems.
He thinks the main problem is the gods have their attention diverted to something else. This great war that's happening in various places. That they have not been protecting what needs to be protected. Which is why the dwarves are looking to return home, and the call has gone out. He is not sure when the dwarven borders will close, but the call is out there for all dwarves to return. Those that do not will basically become outcasts.
Would Lani be open to starting at this point in order to work our way to the Arendi problem? Or because he did say we could do an entrance, there are entrances around Arendi, we could go there and go that way.
I'm having a problem because I know where the story is.
Yeah.
And
sorry, just remembered one of my titles.
Oh!
Appropriate title for this court.
Yes.
Bearer of the Staff of Kiengor.
Ooh.
It's the dwarven version of Mazikeen.
That's very true.
and also a friend of that's on the Wednesday night, a friend of an elven lord who's actually a friend of the king.
Okay, so thinking Lonnie is definitely very concerned for Randy, all that stuff.
And what you know about the dwarves is the dwarves built the ships that the Arendi Navy have that are unstoppable.
So
they maintain it.
She is seeing this as very much of equal footing, and that starting with one over the other, there's no real.
Well, you do think that the king's one is
starting
probably less pressing because he has told you he's already put the call out for the dwarves to return.
Okay.
Yeah.
The dwarves will not ignore that.
So
dealing
with the dwarven thing.
From Lonnie's perspective, we could do Arendi then this.
Yeah.
Yes. From Lonnie's perspective, if you don't stop what's happening in Arendi,
it'll make this worse.
It will be open warfare, and the dwarves will probably not come back.
Yep. Whereas the dwarven
if you
thing,
can, if you stop that one and then help this one and the dwarves decide to let them come back, they can come back.
Okay.
But if you fix the dwarven one first and then open warfare breaks out, they will never go back.
They'll never come back.
So we'll tell the king something along the lines of the diplomatic version of that.
Yeah. Plus, if we do the dwarven one first, yeah, there will be a big loss of life, but if
Yeah.
we do the Erendu one first, it's just going to be the dwarves
For the
leaving,
sake-
and a
we
lot
can
of people
tell
get
him-
poor.
For
And that's it.
this is what we have heard. This is what our needs are in the sake of worldwide economic trade and what is good for the dwarves, which is good for the rest of the people. We will address the differences between surface and shadow and underwater
ocean.
all at the same time, and thus we are able to fully help you with our full
Yeah.
attention.
And he
through
also
this.
adds to you that the reason he came in person to Darrakan was he had to tell them why the dwarves could not support their cause.
Which is entirely fair.
And
But-
under the dwarven law, they can't actually get involved because of what's happening.
Yeah.
The dwarves are not permitted by their god to
Yep.
come here and fight in this war.
Yes.
One thing,
and that is basically part of the treaty the dwarves have. Is a trade treaty, not a war treaty.
yep,
They've never made war treaties with anyone.
yep, very carefully so. Which reminds me, it's not directly involved with what we're doing here, but while we're in Darrakan, I've been in talks to organise getting the tree seed planted, including having a ritual that involves all the 4 elements. Because I can do 3 of the elements on my own.
Yes, but did you want it done here or did you want it done in another place?
You suggested...
I said this is the place that you can have it in. That's the
Yeah.
thing that I needed you to be sure you wanted it done in a certain place.
I think on that a bit more.
Yeah.
No, I don't... Well, I originally thought of in Alfheim itself, but that would probably be a bad idea, as you suggested. I can't think of anywhere better than Darrakan.
There is one place
But-
that may actually suit you more is the domain you have, because that means that you still retain control of it legally, whereas anywhere else it can be taken over by someone else
Yeah.
from legal perspective.
Yeah.
Especially merchants are very big on legalese.
Well,
Unless, of course, you can
no,
negotiate
hold on.
people's rights.
I had actually thought about that. Getting my own place in Darrakan and then planting it there.
But don't you
It
have...
would still fall under the domain
your
of someone
8
else,
mile
even if it's
domain?
your place. Your 8 mile domain cannot be taken over by anyone else.
Yeah.
That was what I was saying from a perspective of characters.
Well, that was the thing. My original thought was my own place. So yeah, if the fact it's in my domain is the most important thing at this point, that's where I'm going to put it. So yeah, I will do that.
I did think about having it in the city, but when I was thinking about how politics and all that works, you'd find yourself without it very quickly.
Yeah. Yes.
And then people may abuse it.
Yeah.
Well, they will, because there's got to be somebody who's going to have a go at it.
Someone will always have that option.
Darrakan.
Willing to.
There's always people going for the advantage that involves money.
Well, wealth is how they measure everything.
Okay.
So,
yes, he does tell you about how he's sad that he's had to come to this point and tell the Darrakans themselves that they are withdrawing from their trade agreement with Darrakan because the Darrakan has entered into war.
Makes sense.
Well, Darrakan would have taken that into account anyway.
Well,
But it's got to be said.
but the thing is, that's why he's come in person.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. As I said, it's got to be said, and it's preferably got to be said by someone at his level. But they knew this was happening.
Yeah.
They knew it was going to happen.
So it was a rather sad thing for him to have to do because he does value the nation greatly.
Yeah. Huge
But-
amount of money for nothing else.
Part of how it is.
It is. But
It is.
if we get the Erendi things done,
I was gonna say if
that
we
will
have-
help
if we
everybody.
have his
He does
blessing-
also say that with the elves taking the field with Darrakan was also politically what forced him to make the move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As considered political opponents,
Yeah.
not actually hating each other.
Yeah.
It's basically the other party took to the field, so they had to withdraw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Political. So. Alright, if we have his blessing to start interventing, head into the Shadowlands
He does.
through there, then
He is happy to hand you a writ of authority to speak on behalf of the King of Rockhome,
Excellent.
which is not given out very often,
No.
especially because it also gives you access to Rockhome even if it's closed.
Ah. Yeah, that's... Well, we'd need that to sort of tell them about it afterwards.
That's part of why he gave it in that terms, because only the king's envoys can pass the doors once they close.
Yep. So we'll keep that safe in my bag of holding.
Even if another dwarf wants to get entry, they cannot.
Mm. Yeah. Also reminding me, talking about my bag of holding, one of the things that I ended up with when I got those books, I haven't actually had the time to investigate it, or at least as players, as a player haven't been able to. The necklace or the gem, whatever it was.
Which one?
When we got the books in Glantry.
Yep.
Oh,
You had a necklace that allowed you to read one of the books.
to read
So
the
that's
ones
its
in
function, or
fancy.
Was
does it
main
have a different
function. It did have a different function, but you didn't get access to it because the other end shut down.
Yeah. Okay.
It was the equivalent of a message stone,
Oh, okay.
just that it was hidden as a necklace.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was the thing. I didn't have this information. I didn't know what it was.
Well, they had
So-
stopped using it when the person died.
yeah.
Yeah.
So even if you had have had the information then, it was something that didn't help you in any way.
yeah,
That
but
would
now I
most
know what it
likely
is.
have destroyed the other half of it.
Just to make sure of things.
Well,
I got half a sending stone.
You can magically connect them if they still exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those who know can abuse sending stones.
Mm. Yes. You
Okay.
write spells and you can do all sorts of various hacking things.
Well, it's like in Shadowrun, where if you have someone's blood ceremonially taken, you can hit them with magic no matter where they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
Using a bond of similarity. Various other magic systems do that too.
Okay, so he wishes you good luck and safe hunting. He does not expect to see you again because not knowing what the future may hold.
That sounded ominous.
Well, war is cropping up everywhere, and he is withdrawing from the field
He's being
and returning
realistic.
home. He has been recalled, basically, as he's recalled all the
At least
dwarves.
until we can solve the problem.
No, this
Yeah.
is the only time he can leave the nation.
So
he-
he won't come back,
He won't. He's not allowed to.
even if we can solve his problem.
No,
As
We
a
would
king-
have to go to him.
As a
going to-
king, he gets one excursion from Rocco.
Oh, okay.
But
That
there's
kind of
also the
sucks.
fact that it's only because the world's in crisis that
Oh, yeah.
That
justifies
he
doing
gets
anything.
this one.
Yeah.
If you fix everything, then the world's no longer in crisis and there's no reason for him to leave Rocco.
Yeah.
And he would never have left if the war hadn't started.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ever.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because it's such a big thing for the head of government to leave.
Yeah.
So that's just it. So if we do well, then he doesn't need to leave Rocco. And if we do poorly, well then there's probably no one left around to meet each other.
Fair enough.
Alright.
And if you succeed, then there'll be many bureaucrats between you and him who will deal with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We don't necessarily see him.
That would be a shame.
Which is why he went to so much effort to meet people while he was here.
Yeah.
And he's probably met with hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Most likely, most of the craftsmen he deals with over the years.
Yeah. Yes. But if we do solve their problem, it's not going to be someone junior we're seeing when we get here.
Nah.
It just may not be him,
Exactly.
which is fine.
So as you leave, you do see a surprise waiting for you to leave to go and see him himself is the King of Alfheim.
Oh, wow.
Your Majesty.
He nods in your direction as he heads on in. Before the doors shut, you don't even hear any titles announced either.
I'm not surprised.
No, that wouldn't be surprising.
Which is a surprise because you wouldn't have thought the two kings would have ever met in person.
The King of Alfheim may have... Well, he'd have gone to Rockhome at some point.
but not as king.
No, probably not as.
But that's the other thing.
Even that, no.
It implies
Hold on.
it met quite recently.
No, well, that's the thing. It had come recently
They
because
had
if he
changed titles.
if he
in that
had
time.
gone to Rockhome before he was king, then he would have King of Alfheim.
Yep.
At minimum.
Exactly.
But
on
there
the
is also a
announcement.
war, so
So he's been to Rockhome
So it means they've seen
after
each
he
other
became
recently.
king.
Either that, or it's his second visit while the king of Rockhome, Queen Darrican.
Well, what I just said is exactly true. He's met the king since he became king. Yeah, which is fine. At the king level, I expect more than one visit with what the King of Rockhome's doing at the moment.
And
It does imply they're friends. I'll give you
he
that.
does greet the king by the name Biffin.
They are
they went to
friends.
college
They are
together.
buds.
They're best friends.
They were the same fraternity brothers or something.
Which you did learn at some point is the name the king was born with.
Ooh.
I'm not going to use it.
Eep probably would.
Yes, but that's Eep. I can't get away with what he can get away with.
Eep may not be allowed to
Eep
get
is
away
cute.
with it. Eep may get away with it because Eep looks like a plant.
Yes.
It's also very powerful.
And you see that there's quite a large retainer of elves, clan heads, left outside
Makes sense.
Yeah.
as you go past, talking amongst themselves.
Anybody you recognize?
Quite a few of them pointedly ignoring you.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I've just outranked them by being
In
my
the
own
presence.
by being my own negotiator. I'm the junior clan,
Yes.
and I've just walked out of talking to the king.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see them being rather pissed.
They're a
at this
little
point.
like
Yeah,
nose
that-
turned at you.
You walked out with Marnie, so I assumed it was Marnie that a king really saw.
And by the looks of things, it looks like they've had to wait about an hour for you to finish deliberations with the king.
Calcrix was
That cup
making
of tea. That cup
You
of
can't
tea.
rush tea.
It was important.
Well, the
You
fact
have
we,
to have the right temperature.
the fact that we had
And like dwarves like it's
No, no.
strong. It needs to steep a while.
The fact that we had tea at all is going to be what's pissed them off.
And also that the Dwarven King wants it done right, so he'll sit there until the dragon does it right and not rush the dragon in any way, shape or form.
Yeah,
Because
ceremony is ceremony.
Yeah.
As usual, Calcrix has left her standard tea leaves blend with the king's retainers so the king can have tea again.
And you find that the king's retainer gives Calcrix a packet of mushroom tea.
Ooh, nice. She likes
Basically,
mushroom
it's
teas.
the king's favourite.
Ooh.
He's very
That's-
honoured.
From his own
Yeah.
gardens.
Oh, very nice.
Ooh, that's
Alright, I'm
fancy.
writing that down.
Mm.
I actually have a list of teas
Where-
and coffees
And where she's got them from.
I've
Cool.
collected over
That is very
all my
cool.
travels.
That's as good as a list of titles.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say better.
Mm.
It's a good one.
Tastes better than titles.
So, one thing after leaving, you do recognise the King of Rockhome has a habit of hiring adventurers to solve problems instead of paying people with just titles,
Mm.
because
Oh, yeah.
he doesn't believe in titles by themselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
He believes in actions over words.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the reason for the title is to find out what you've done to get it,
Yeah.
not the actual title itself. So a short list of what seems to be crappy little titles. that are
Calcrix's
notes
titles are
of-
then
notes
likely
of-
to be her what she's done.
Oh yeah, no, that's the
I
whole
think
thing.
It's her actions.
It's I have done this impressive thing and this impressive thing and this impressive thing. I'm just not going to be pushy about it.
And the fact that you have an envoy from the Queen of Darkness, you have someone who's a prince of the Shadow Elves as well as the Surface Elves. You have Lani, who is a warrior from the Erendi Islands, who has a lot of weight behind that from the
And speak
surface
Shadow
world.
Elf.
And
You
then got
have
Draknamir.
Draknamir, who is
Dracula was when he'd been to High Forge. He didn't want to go into another dwarf settlement. Way much metal around.
Yeah, well,
So Dracula didn't go.
but he is one of the
He's the chief of chiefs.
chief of chiefs of the Earth people.
yeah.
So that has a lot of respect for amongst the dwarves.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
So-
support the Earth people more than any of the other people.
Yeah. Basically, our CV as a group is really impressive.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, and you do have a Knights River Inn in Arendi that you can go to,
Yes,
Nice.
we've been there.
which makes it so much faster to travel around.
Yeah.
Well, it saves you about a month's travel at least.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is going to be pretty huge when we're looking at trying to do this and then the Rockhome thing.
And the big thing you have about the Knights River Inn is people who aren't members of Red Ruin's investigation bureau can't use it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we learned that a while ago.
Oh,
didn't we?
but you're missing the main point, which is Calcrix has a coffee shop set up in every Knights River Inn. Supplies coffee, cookie, and tea.
That's probably the most important.
Exactly.
That's a hell of a money maker.
and it means that as a
That's the in-house
teleportation
coffee.
network, it's very hard to abuse it.
Yes.
Yes.
Whereas most
Because
people who
you-
set up a network make it open to anyone.
Mm.
Yes. But this is got to be approved by the boss.
It makes sense.
Well,
Well,
he's powering the damn thing.
It's
so
also
yeah.
a secret network and
Yeah.
one for his agents and spies to use.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
is there one in Rockhome? There's a thing.
Uh,
I can't remember the list.
Quite possibly, but he might not let people know about it. Because, hey, it is into the Dwarven capital. And if strangers showed up there...
The other thing too is once the place is closed down, it's not something he's going to let happen. Because
yeah.
going in that way is an invasion.
That's yeah. I think
Oh, yeah, the one that was
now the
we need to be
closest,
knocking on the front door.
time was actually outside the city.
Yes.
the closest one to Rockhome now is the one in Norvik,
Okay.
Mm.
because that's the new one that just opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
In terms of like the trade route,
I think Castellan's actually got an activity too.
It
Yeah,
does, but
it did.
Norvik is the closest on the road that goes straight in.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess one of the questions you consider before jumping in the portal from Derek and straight down to Randy is were people going to do any shopping in Darrakan before departing for Randy?
Yeah, I was gonna ask
Yeah.
that too. Did anybody need to get anything in Darrakan before we go to Reggie?
Obviously, Darrakan is a good spot to buy magical equipment if you
Do
can
I
afford it,
need-
Oh yeah.
and if you want to deal with the iMagic store.
Yeah.
Yes,
I do have
saw
items that I
it.
have available, but 'cause the ice store actually has listed items.
Uh-huh.
Can I go look?
I think I might need. Do I
Yeah.
need any more sending stones?
Probably not. Though other items beyond that, I will eventually move across into it.
Yeah.
And I did want a couple of sending scrolls for when the stones aren't
Flower.
gonna work.
Mm.
Is that something I can get from the ice ball?
You can probably get that from Temple.
Okay. Before we leave Darrakan?
Yeah. And there is magic stores in R&D City.
Yeah.
There's the Bargle's magical sales.
Yep.
Definitely worth interesting thing because they'll have water themed stuff
Yeah.
down there.
Yep.
I want to get a reasonable sized whackload of scrolls because
So right,
I've been-
Bargle the Wizard Private Investigator also sells magical items.
cool.
I would say everybody is actually interested in that.
I want to go shopping there.
And he is cousin of the other Bargle.
Yes.
Well,
If you guys remember,
he's actually his cousin. No one actually seen both of them at the same time.
Yes.
our dearly
Right.
departed friend did deal with Bargle at one point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah, but I did do a list of all the spells that can be a ritual. There are some of them on that list I'm probably not going to do, like create undead. But
It can be a useful thing because if you animate a body, it can't be generally the soul can't be returned to that body,
that's a point. Makes it hard to.
even if you then destroy the body afterwards.
Yeah, you need to do a full bore resurrection for that. It has its uses.
That's why the master animates the fallen.
Mm. so they can't be reanimated by his enemy.
Well, they
They
can't
can't be
be
resurrected.
brought back.
Can't be brought back. Not without a really expensive version of resurrection.
Mm.
So yeah, I will get all of these.
Yes, so I'd
At
say
least
that's a
as many as
yes
I can
for
afford.
shopping.
So does the IMH store actually have a menu now that you can get rather than actually trying to deal with the salespeople?
It does.
I was gonna say,
Cool.
how do I get to that page?
So that's on that is
Here.
known as the group page. So you can get to it by going to magical
It's-
items and items by group.
Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so you
How
have
can we
a solid suit, a
Yeah.
fishery-friendly
Use
armor,
have
It's
it.
easy to read.
a helm of death's right hand,
Huh!
a peekaboo shield, smoking armor,
Only one.
fishery friend.
on.
Well, that one's been
I've got
reused
a-
somewhere else.
I've got magical items in
I was
effect,
gonna
and
say,
I've got
you
a different
want
listing to yours.
iStore.
Okay, hold on a sec.
So go to scroll down. Go by items by group, and then iStore.
Oh, okay. Items by
Though
group.
the
Righto.
that's more for me to read out than
Yeah,
for people
that
to
way-
actually look at directly.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not
So you
just
don't know
reading.
exactly what the items are.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
because it's always the iStore. They always say it's a certain.
I am usually
that's
willing
how I
to
got-
spend extra to get.
I got
Actually
a bag
what
that
I'm after,
eats things,
but-
and that's how I got my Pokemon
Mm.
bag.
Because I mean, yeah, it's certainly something that
Yeah. So
that
definitely
Nemo
read the
would
green
be
text.
interested in getting hold of a magical longbow. But yes, he's not interested in trying to deal with the iStore stuff. So.
Right.
So is that a list of things we are allowed to
There'll
buy?
be ones that I can read from to say
Okay.
here are things
Yep.
you can buy. Because
Yep.
I've got the title there for me to reference,
Yeah.
and then I know exactly what it is I'm giving you.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Right.
I'm ignoring all the other text. I'm only reading the green text.
So was there? You said there was. You went through them really quickly.
So a solid suit,
A solid suit.
Yep.
Yep.
fishery-friendly armor,
Okay.
helm of death's right hand,
Yep.
peekaboo shield,
Yep.
smoking armor,
Smoking armor. Okay. Yep.
the music book,
Music book.
the
Okay.
unseen book,
Yep.
and what was the other one? The campfire spell book.
Campfire spellbook.
Yep.
Could I get more information about the campfire spellbook just out of?
Yep, they will sell it to you for 50 gold.
Okay. And what about the unseen book?
The unseen book, they will sell it to you for 350 gold.
That's 50 gold.
Oh.
That's
Okay, so I read the
350
light
gold.
Yeah,
Um,
the
But
text.
you've got to buy it sight unseen.
Peekaboo shield. Would there be one that Eep could get?
Well,
An Eep-sized peekaboo.
They sell it
shield?
for 110 gold.
So would it size to Eep's size?
They don't know. You can buy it and
110
find out,
gold.
they say.
Okay.
Ooh,
Yep.
nice.
And the helm of Death's right hand.
Yep.
No information, but
100
price?
gold.
100 gold.
Campfire spell.
Also
Hmm.
wondering if that might fit Eep's head, but I'm not sure.
Well, you got to remember that depending on the kind of magic it's got on it may or may not be size.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
The
was gonna
heavy
say-
crossbow that was a bow with a lock tied to it,
Yeah.
Right.
and that was intelligent enough to always be angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Right.
yelling
Wasn't
insults.
necessarily one that would adjust size for you.
Yeah. And so, is that list of things the only list of things available right
At the
now?
moment, yeah.
Yep, no, that's okay.
It will grow as they do stuff. The intention is anything that hasn't already been bought will get a version put in there, and
Yeah.
maybe a few other things, depending on my mood.
And was anyone
humour.
else interested in any of the items I was asking about? Therion, you don't
No.
count. You don't need a helm of death right's hand. No, you don't. You could get a peekaboo shield, but that's it.
Mm.
Yeah, okay, we'll get you a peekaboo shield. So I need one shield for the cat. He wants to play peekaboo behind it.
Okay.
Graces of archery.
Look, I'll get the peekaboo shield, and if it doesn't work the way I want it to, I can always give it to somebody who wants it.
Okay, so your peekaboo shield, after you spend your 110 gold,
Yep.
you find out is a medium shield of fire.
Oh, okay. Medium shield of fire.
And its magical item type is Shield of Expression. So the front of the shield is shaped in the likeness of a face.
So you mean it could look like Eep trying to look angry if Eep was able to hold it?
Eep can make the shield look angry or happy or sad or
Yeah, okay.
whatever he chooses to make it.
Her version of a serious face.
And if you're tuned to it, you can look through the shield and be protected from gaze effects.
Okay.
So we're using the shield as your race instead of yourself.
That is handy.
And I
That's
gather it
going to
can't
come.
resize, so...
Very handy.
Well,
I want
it
one
could
of
be
these.
something that I'd be willing to give to you, because
Yeah.
if Eep can't use it...
You'll
Yeah.
need it.
Well, I've got a shield. I've got a...
This
my-
is a good shield.
I got my
And
hat.
the
hat
shield
shield
actually
and all
looks like it's got motifs of flame, and it appears to flicker in the light.
The shield.
The shield, yes.
Sure you don't want it?
No, okay.
It's free to a good home because you
No.
can't use it.
No, it's okay.
I'll keep it in my bag of holding them. The unseen book, I think I'll get that.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so
Unless anybody else wants it.
the Unseen Book is a spell book for occult magic, known as the Mental Spell Book. Full title of Mental Spell Book of Thoughtful Preparation.
Sounds nothing like Calcra Expert. She'll try and make use of it. I gather you'll tell me how to make use of that between games. Alrighty.
It's,
Which really helps warlocks. So that would be a gift that you could end up giving.
Would you be interested in that as a gift?
It is one of the things that I did have as an additional enchantment on my rod, and then they got changed. I'm going to get it redone.
How about I give that to you as a
But
gift, since it suits
it's-
a warlock?
Because it, I'd have to have it with the minor power of added minor power of part of a set.
What's up?
Possibly it can be used
Yeah.
without being attuned.
He mostly wants the attention.
Yeah.
Watch, he'll run away if I put my hand down there.
Yeah. But the attunement gives me an extra spell to play with. Or presumably some spell points.
Doesn't want to be picked up, just wants attention. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, do you want pats or don't you want pats? Because half getting a pat and then moving away before you can get a pat isn't an effective way of getting a pat.
But he's a kitty cat.
He's like, I just want you to pat my forehead.
And the benefit of the Mental Spell Book is you can prepare from it without actually reading it.
So, would you like that?
Yes.
Since it's a warlock book? Alright, so
Yes, please.
I'm
So basically, it's like you
officially
close your eyes, put your hand on the book, and prepare your
Yep.
spells that way.
So you've
AKA
got
how
the
I
unseen spell
tried
book.
to work in a university and then somehow
Yeah.
that didn't work.
Or you
Yes.
just sleep with your head on the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you doing in preparing spells for today?
Yeah.
It's like
However, to
working
preparing,
through osmosis.
yeah. The thing
That's
is
all
that
I'll get
the thing is
today.
the prepared spell. It's only useful for a warlock if you're attuned to it, because you only get to prepare one spell.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
The
yeah.
one extra spell you get from the
What?
attunement.
Can be very helpful. Gets rid of
It's the same for bards, because bards are spontaneous casters.
Yes.
Oh, true. So yeah,
I'm
it's
happy to leave it with you for now.
the prepared spell thing. Could you use the prepare part of that to use a ritual from it without actually opening it up? Not that that makes much of a difference.
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
But it's you've got your eyes closed while you're doing it.
I don't want to buy a helm I
Um,
don't need, but I really wanted to know what the
yeah.
helm of Death's right-handed.
Yeah, given one of the invocations I've got, this actually isn't that useful to me.
Oh, well, I've just bought
Yeah.
2 useless things. That made me feel better, but now I feel
No.
bad.
Ah. That's right. Look,
having a spare book on hand doesn't hurt Lowell, because Lowell
Yeah.
can always change and go, I want to prepare an extra spell today.
Well-
I'll attune to this morning, and I have an extra spell.
Yeah.
yeah. And then
Andrew,
after I've used it,
you probably haven't necessarily changed the ratio of successful purchases from the identity store.
no.
No, I don't think I have, but they were the two things I was.
You probably did, because at least those were only not particularly useful. They weren't
Yeah.
actively detrimental.
Well,
Yeah.
it does have its uses.
Yeah.
I just have to inscribe a couple of spells that I'm going to want to
Yeah.
use that aren't on my normal list.
Yeah.
And at least you didn't
Just pick
spend
one of
the 2,000 gold on the sword suit.
No, well, I don't.
Or the
Oh, that might be useful.
yeah, or the 20 grand I saw on one of the
Calcrix
books.
doesn't have a need for a lot of armor, and she doesn't actually need the medium peekaboo shield either, because she's got the shield of Bahatma.
So for all the items in the game so far, the ones in the ice store are the ones that people don't have.
Yeah.
The only ones players don't have.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I figured I'd roll the dice on two things, thus rolled.
Absolutely.
I'll maybe ask about the Helm of Death's right hand later.
And I'll add more stuff to it after I get through
Yeah.
moving a few things around.
There we
Hey,
are.
buddy.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
thoughts.
I'll check his little.
The sword suits. Nicely chunky.
But considering it is 10:20,
Yes.
Hey.
Gargle storing.
picking up a few things means that you can then head to Orendi City if you're not already there, and finish the session with you guys reaching Orendi.
Yeah, I would say we'll finish session being in Arendi, and then we'll start from Arendi next session.
Yeah.
Is it Bargle's
But yeah.
store?
Bargles. Yeah.
Bargle's. B-A-R.
Unfortunately, Bargle has a habit of selling cursed items.
Be a good way to start the game.
Buying a cursed item.
I didn't say I'm going to buy anything.
Valid. Yeah.
Cool. Alright, yep,
But
I'm
yeah,
good.
I'll neaten
Any
up. I'll
other?
neaten up my spell, my enchantment things to match what you've told me.
Okay, so Jeremy, I'm going to go put it to end credits.
Yep, okay. I will say good night to everyone. And,
Good nighty.
Good night to everyone.
See you tomorrow night or next week or the week after.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
see you later, Jeremy.
Thanks very much, Martin. Thanks all.
Bye.
Have a good night.